Welcome to the Warrant and Finance Committee meeting for May 8th, 2023. The first thing is salute the flag of the United States. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As most of you know, if you saw the email I sent out a week ago, I asked that the departments be invited to our meeting tonight, so they could hopefully answer any questions we might have. Now we have the warrant, which is, most of the numbers are different than the numbers we saw meeting with the departments. And the town administrator, normally the policy says that, we tried very hard to follow the policy that the selectmen have for the warrant finance. I send the questions to the town administrator, and the town administrator starts working on things and doesn't need the approval of the selectmen. But this particular issue went to the Board of Selectmen, and they decided that we could come up with some questions if we wanted, and they'll do their best to get the answers for our next meeting. And so everybody knows that we have scheduled one more meeting on May 15th, I believe it is. According to the schedule that the selectmen put out and town clerk, the selectmen are going to vote on these warrant articles on the 17th. So we'll discuss this, and don't let me forget it at the end of the meeting, whether we need to have another meeting, because we ask the questions, we get the answers, and quite often that generates more questions. So we might need to schedule another meeting.
Between today and the 15th.
Yeah.
Or the 16th, Charlie, on a Tuesday. But we'll discuss that later. I just want everybody to be able to think about it.
I made a note.
Dennis, Tuesdays are, I can't make it on a Tuesday.
But our recommendation has to be on the warrant in order for the town to post it under state statute. So I'm not quite sure how all this is going to work. Whether we're going to need to postpone town meeting, if we're going to be able to get our recommendations for the 17th or not. This is all up to the committee, how all this works. So with that being said, we do have some questions, and you have to bear with me, that we've asked for, I think back in January. We have asked for the audit, which we haven't received, but I was hoping we'd get the town report, because then the audit would be in the town report, and we'd be able to use that. But I don't know what the status is on the town report.
Excuse me, Dennis?
Yeah.
The audit report hasn't been posted?
I
didn't see it on the website.
No.
I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened there, but have you got a list of things you've asked for that you haven't received? I'm sorry to jump in here.
No, it's all right, Tom. There is some things, yes, Tom. Off the top of my head,
Can you send me those?
I'd have to.
I'll do
Yeah.
my best to get them to you.
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of that.
yeah. I'll have to go back through the different requests and
And your emails.
see what we got and what we didn't, because this all
Well,
started.
At this point, if it's what you need in order to get through
Right,
for the town meeting. Just let me know what you need and we'll
try to get
do
it.
our best to get it.
Yeah, okey-doke, sounds good. So, tonight, what we want to do is go through the warrant and develop any questions that we might have. As you see, you got the up-to-date financial report, so you can compare the expenses to the actual, what was budgeted, what was spent, and what the boards are asking for, departments rather, or boards, and make a logical recommendation on what we're gonna do. But we're, like I said, we're not gonna make recommendations tonight. Go ahead, Charlie.
Back to the question that Tom just raised regarding things that you're still awaiting word for. One item that you had received a response to, oh, I forgot my binder, oh, nuts, was, there were two they were electric bills.
Yeah.
This was earlier, I think, our third meeting or something.
Yeah, it was
along
Yeah,
those
really
lines.
in January.
One of them was
for
for $400 and the other one was for $16,000 or $19,000, I don't remember the
Yeah,
exact.
I have that right here, because that was a question that
Right.
we've
Yeah.
never received an answer for this.
We received an answer that was as ambiguous as the original dollar amounts.
Right.
It did not answer the question. It said it was moved to another account.
Yeah.
But nowhere in here have I been able to find where this money magically reappeared.
Right.
Yeah, and this was regarding the electricity for the town gym.
the gym,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep.
Yep, and like I said,
You have it, okay.
I've pulled this out every single meeting, hoping to get an answer to that, and we haven't
Yeah.
received it yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's
That's
one of
one to
I-
write down on your list.
I have a list of all of those questions, which I'll give to Dennis, so he'll check off what
Yeah.
he has answered and not answered.
Yeah,
And he can share it with Tom.
but sometimes I do forget to
We all do.
We all
follow
do,
through with.
so,
But I know some of these warrant articles, the selectmen tried to shorten up the warrant a little bit.
Chairman,
What's that?
point of order, are we going to accept the minutes of the last meeting?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm just moving on too fast. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting, please?
Make a motion to accept the minutes?
Seconded.
All in favor?
I will correct Mr. Heideck's spelling of his last name in my computer. I know it is, but I thought I had put it correctly in my computer. I'll take care of
We
that.
all set now, Ray?
Or online?
Okay. Like I said, I know the selectmen tried to consolidate some of the warrant articles. So we won't have quite as many this year. One thing I asked for, because our first thing on this here is the zoning. One thing I asked for 2 weeks ago, which I never received, was, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, that the planning board added more verbiage to the mineral extraction ordinance. And what I asked for, what the exact changes were that night, so that we didn't have to go through this and try to figure out what was before and what was after, because it's quite lengthy and it'd be very hard to do. So that is one thing that we want to make sure we get the answer to, Joyce.
Yeah,
Okay?
For that aspect, Dennis?
Yeah.
If you look at page 3, there may be some confusion on that aspect. Towards the bottom of that page, this is actually, we're looking at Article 7, but towards the bottom of that page, it calls for Article 3.
wait. Give the
No.
page number again?
Page 3,
Yeah,
No,
No.
that Article 3, Ray, is part of the ordinance. Article 3.
Okay, they're putting in here segments of the land use ordinance, which is listed as articles.
Yeah,
Part of
So,
Article 7.
and so that Article 3 and 3.2 that you're looking at, that's actually language from the land use ordinance. So you have to include that because otherwise people won't
Right.
know where that text is coming
Yeah.
from.
That is a little confusing, right? Because you look at the article, but it's used two different ways in two different places. Good question,
So it's
Rick.
Article 3 of Article 7.
no,
No,
it's Article 3 of the land use ordinance book.
because they're proposing amendments to the land use ordinance.
Inserted the whole thing into here as an
You
article.
can't just put in,
So the article that the town is voting on is Article 7, you're correct there. But Article 7 contains all these other articles within it, and so that's what that is.
And every word that's in one of these has to be, if it's voted that way, it has to go into the ordinance verbatim. You can't change any wording, the town meeting can't change any wording. It's just either yes or no.
when this passes, the ordinance books for land use downstairs have to be immediately changed. The old page that has this on it, whatever page that is in that book, has to be taken out and the new page put in with
All right.
whatever was voted in on it.
I gotta put my glasses on here so I can really see what I'm reading.
That would help.
Well, I'm going to make a suggestion, that we not even address this until we have the answer that we needed, that we've asked for.
Well, we
I don't
wouldn't
see why, I don't see why we should waste our time looking for the changes
We're not
when
gonna.
we've asked for them.
Okay, well, just in the interest of saving time, if you don't mind, I would like to see them correct on page 4, Land Use Ordinance Article 5.29.2, last sentence, where it says solar farm, comma, medium, or solar farm large. Medium should change to small.
Yeah,
Didn't you suggest that?
yeah,
when we
because
were-
they did away
I
with,
suggested as far as the definitions, but
Oh.
I wasn't gonna suggest it anywhere else until I knew that those were accepted.
Gotcha.
right, because they did away with a medium.
Right, and so that's something that needs to be changed, and they could do that quickly.
Say it again, please.
In Land Use Ordinance, Article 5.29.2,
Change.
replace the word medium, or change the word medium to small in the last sentence.
That way there, it goes along with the rest of it.
It's consistent, yes.
That's good word, Charlie. Use less words and get a better meaning.
I'm sorry to interrupt you before.
No, that's not, so the mineral extraction, we're really not gonna talk about because we don't have the answers yet, and I'm not gonna. Is there anything on the review of the public hearing? I'm sorry for moving farther than it should.
It's tough to go through this, Dennis, when this was handed to us less than, about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And to read through all of this verbiage.
Well, the only really change in the public hearing is that we're changing the 10-day notice to a 7-day notice.
What page are you on?
I'm
That's
on page number 2.
2.
Yeah, okay.
At the top.
Right
That-
near the top.
That's only,
Yeah, I got it.
that's only changing that, that's pretty basic.
Now, there are some instances, according to Maine statute, where 13 days is required. So I think we should look at that a little further.
This has been reviewed by legal counsel. So it's a great question, but I just want you to know it has been reviewed by.
I'm sure it has been, But I just looked at the statutes, and there are some instances where 13 days are required, and
So is there any questions on the conditional use?
What newspaper of general circulation are they intending on using?
Well, this is the problem, there,
We don't have a newspaper.
we don't have one anymore. But I believe they're still gonna put a notice in the one that,
That throwaway? that-
Yeah.
Throwaway one.
yeah.
Just about the same as we used to do with
Budget.
the larger one that was before COVID, that free newspaper,
Right.
whatever that
I
one
mean,
was.
that's the best you can do.
I think that we also should be
Yeah, they
using.
put notices now, Wakefield, no, not Wakefield, I'm sorry, but Shapley, Waterboro, everybody's using the Reporter.
I think we also should be using our sign out front that, it's great advertisement and vastly underutilized.
Yeah,
I mean, this kind of stuff, everyone drives down 109, and that would be a great way to notify people who do not come into town hall on a regular basis, who do not pick up the Waterboro Reporter, and who do not go on to the Acton town website.
So on to the solar.
so did you want to add that language in there then? That some sort of notice be posted on marquee?
No.
I don't think we can change it. I don't think
No,
we can change it,
We
Charlie.
can't do nothing like that, Charlie.
we can
The,
recommend it
Ask the selectmen.
at the selectmen's meeting, you can make a recommendation, but it doesn't belong in this.
Now we got the solar systems. My problem with the solar, just my opinion, is it goes against some of the verbiage in our good neighbors ordinance. And the first one that comes to mind is visibility. And a good neighbor, you're not supposed to be able to see these things. And in this here, it'll be allowed. But that's for somebody else you have two ordinances that are in conflict.
Dennis, is it the general rule, though, the less stringent, if there's a conflict in ordinances, the less stringent one is to be used?
No, the most stringent. The more stringent, not the less stringent.
More stringent.
Yeah, it's more stringent.
Even on something like this?
Yeah.
Where, it's,
You know, rules are rule.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Well,
All
if
right.
if you
I had it
remember,
reversed.
when we did the H Road, there, it was one of the conditions that there was a row of arborvitae. Inexpensive, grow fast, but there was a row of arborvitae in front of those panels.
Yeah.
So that, you might see them the first year, second year, but certainly, if you got, I think at the time, somebody had looked around and you could get an arborvitae for as little as $14, something that was 6 feet. Today, I don't know. Joe's shaking his head,
They're
but that
$50
was some
I
years
just
ago.
bought 4.
Well, doesn't under, on page 3, E, standards, number 8, doesn't that address your concern about visibility? And if not, possibly that just needs to be,
Where are you again?
page 5,
Oh, page 5, I
Five,
think,
I thought you-
sorry.
Went back to 3, sorry.
well,
Yeah, it
you were
does.
talking about solar and visibility, and
Yeah.
so that's where that is under
That is right
standards.
here.
You've got number 8, and it talks about a wooded buffer on all sides.
So there you go, that takes care of the visibility.
Well, it doesn't say specifically to visibility, but I mean, if you were concerned about that, then it would seem as though that's the place that some comment should be made to address visibility.
I agree with what you're saying, Charlie. But in a good neighbor policy, I don't see how any of this is attainable, and I'm not defending it, I'm not anything.
Okay, so then, now my
You're
question.
not supposed to be able to see any of this stuff, development or anything,
Yeah,
from the lake or
Road.
from a road.
Okay, so now my question is going to be, is it a policy or is it?
It's an ordinance.
it's an ordinance.
Okay, so then the more stringent ordinance, because that's a law,
Right.
would stand.
Dennis, I know this was brought up already, but how the heck did they get away with Road H farm? You can see that from
With what?
the
H
farm
Road.
on H
How
Road.
did they get away with it?
Yeah,
It's, the conditions haven't been enforced.
Well, when they had a discussion here, it was before the select board, I think, when
you can see that
they
thing.
were talking about that issue. I don't think it was before us, and I don't want to speak for the land use, or the planning board, but Jason had mentioned that at the time, under the ordinance that was built and permitted under, it met all the criteria. Because he was originally going to gig them on the visibility issue, and they
Well,
met all the criteria according to what I remember Jason saying, so.
Well, I was on the planning board when
As
that
was
was
I.
permitted, and it was not, they were supposed to plant arborvitae's to grow up, and we knew that it would take a couple of years before they grew enough to hide it, but apparently that never happened.
And that was put into the plan?
That was one of the
what are their
conditions.
conditions?
Oh, it should have been
I
followed
signed
then,
the-
yeah.
I signed that permit, I mean,
Yep. Then it should have been followed.
yeah. But,
That answers that question.
Yeah.
sure,
So,
This is, things aren't done that are supposed to be done.
so,
It's basically what it is.
is there anything else on the solar?
we're gonna leave mineral alone, right?
Mineral extraction, we're not gonna, I see no reason to discuss that until we get the information that we asked for. The only, we are gonna discuss it a little bit, I guess, because I believe this was at the last selectmen's meeting. As you all know, there's been a lot of talk on this mineral extraction deal over the last year and a half, however long it's been. My confusion on this is we've been told two different things. One is this needs to be redone to bring everybody into compliance, which is one issue. The next thing is it's not going to affect the existing conditional use permits that have been given in the past. Well, you can't have it both ways. And we've been told two different things, and that is a question that I really would like.
You know,
Go ahead, Tom.
We put the letter, or the issue to council,
Okay,
and they wrote back and said that the ordinance as drafted would have no impact on existing permits.
okay.
Grandfathered in.
So, they, you know, it was very confusing how that was gonna go,
Right.
but council has taken a position, so.
Thank you for that answer, Tom.
Tom,
Thanks.
there was a comment made by Jason that he wanted to have all of the start times the same, all of the end times the same. And that's changed.
It cannot be done.
Correct.
They could have, had they used different language in the proposed ordinance.
Okay.
But they didn't use that. So this ordinance as written,
Doesn't change
it
anything.
doesn't change any existing permits.
Oh, that makes a big
Those
difference.
That makes a
those are
big, huge
basically
difference.
Contracts, right? I mean,
I'm sorry?
those are contracts.
Well, I think.
In a sense,
from what I
yes.
understand, they could have put language in that would have allowed the town to change those permits, those
Right.
conditions. They didn't do that. So it's only affecting new permits.
Okay, that's great. Thanks for that, Tom.
I really don't need that.
No, but I would still like to see what they added,
Oh, we have to see what they added, but,
You know. which I assume's in here, but I don't know where it is. That's all the zoning, right?
I believe it is, Dennis.
I think so. I'm waiting for Ray to tell me I skipped something. The Article 9 is, same thing we've done for many years. That $15,000 emergency fund. We didn't spend it this year. I believe we spent it last year and, didn't spend it the year before. We've only spent it 2 or 3 times in the last 15, 20 years. But it's good to have.
I think 1998 was the last time it was spent. The ice storm,
We spent it on the
Generator.
new furnace
the
for,
furnace,
the fire
fire
department.
department, yeah.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah.
How often do you exercise the greater than $500 limit?
It's always more than that.
But I mean, how often is that exercised each year?
That they
It's-
need to
it's
come to
not.
us.
Using any money out of that?
Well,
No, it
you have
says,
you have to request, expenditures in excess of 500 shall require advice and recommendation of Warrant and Finance Committee.
Right.
How often is that?
It hasn't. It hasn't happened, Charlie.
It did with we did with the furnace in the
The
fire
furnace,
department.
that was
Okay,
it.
And
so
then they had
just-
to call us in to.
But it's once in a blue moon.
In 2010 or 11,
Okay.
we used it to buy a second-hand fire truck, because ours went to the devil, and we bought a second-hand one to get us by till we could get the money and get a new truck.
Okay.
That's the only 2 times that I can remember that we've used it. It used to be $5,000, which, for many years, but it ended up that you're not gonna buy much for $5,000, so it's changed to 15.
Well, that was part of, the reason for my bringing it up is if this is something that's exercised on a routine basis, $500 doesn't buy you much more than a photocopier.
Yeah,
And so maybe it would be wise to up that, but if it's not exercised, then I would say.
no, it's
leave
really
it as
not,
is.
Charlie.
Okay.
Yeah, it was put in there that way, so, just so that, well, obviously, any expenses they like to see approved by the Warrant and Finance Committee, and that's why it was added to the article.
Okay.
But it wasn't worth us meeting if it was under $500.
Yeah, I just didn't want to see that as something that's, hindering
Yeah,
the efficient operation of the board, being able to make a decision on such a small item.
and Article 10, getting rid of surplus equipment. That's been the same for many years. And I don't think we've really gotten rid of anything, because we really don't own much. That would cover something, I guess, at the transfer station if,
Does this include fire apparatus? Because I know we've sold
Yes.
a pickup truck and an engine here.
Yes.
In the last couple of years.
yeah, and the ambulance. Yeah, that's all that.
Okay.
Article 11, is that one you combined, Tom? You know, yeah. It seems kind of long.
It was, I think we took 2 and put them together here.
yes,
Okay, that's why it's,
Yeah,
yeah, I think 11, I put that, I made notes on that.
I think they fit well together, but.
right, oh, yeah, I'm fine with it, Tom. It just, looking at it, it's like, I don't remember this one being this long.
No, it was,
It was 11 and
2
12.
articles that were next to each other.
Yeah, and that's, again, I know Tom worked pretty hard to try to cut down on the warrant articles. That's one of the biggest things that people have been talking about for town meeting time.
I do have a comment on this article. I am uncomfortable with the fact that if we sell tax-acquired property, we keep any excess, rather than sending it back to the owners or heirs or whoever. It's like, almost like we're making money on someone's misfortune. And that makes me a little uncomfortable.
Historically, Leslie, that's the way we've always done it.
Well, that doesn't make it right.
No, what I'm saying is, the way we've always done it is we have sent it, the money, excess money, once all the liens and taxes are all paid, have gone to the heirs. The only time that I can remember where that didn't happen was, I don't remember if it was last year or the year
Last year.
before, when they sold the piece at the end of West Shore Drive.
Right.
And that money did not go to the heirs.
So who makes the decision whether the town keeps that money or it goes back?
There is state law on that.
Oh, I know, it's state law is that we can keep it, I understand that.
There are exceptions to that too, Leslie, on whether we can keep it or not keep it. But I'm not familiar enough with state law.
Neither am I.
So I'm not going to.
I don't know, I guess,
Again, I believe this has been reviewed by council, so I believe it's legal.
I'm not,
Whether it should be
Yeah.
handled that way is another matter.
yeah, I'm not questioning the legality,
It's
Tom.
drafted and
Yeah.
Yeah.
so you can.
we can amend that
you
at
can,
town
you
meeting.
know, Not recommend.
Yeah.
Or amend it at meeting.
Personally, I agree with you. I don't think we should be, we should cover our costs and
Right.
send it back.
But we can amend that at town meeting, if you want.
All right, thank you.
Geez, this is interesting. The interest paid on taxes is at 4%, which is obviously the largest amount that the state will allow at this point. It's a lot better than 11%. It's been some years. Because they always set that at the highest rate allowable. Article 13.
Wait, are they
Those were
changing
two
Article
articles
12?
combined too, weren't
What's that?
Is the date being changed on Article 12, or is that
The percentages, that's all that is, right?
just the percentage?
Yeah. That's boilerplate article we vote on every year. The only thing that changes is the percentage that they can charge on unpaid taxes.
it? Well, we were always the 15th of the month.
Yeah.
It probably depends on the calendar.
Yeah, it is.
It's,
I think you'll find that the 17th is on a Tuesday and the 15th is on a Sunday. And people wouldn't be coming in on Sunday.
Because the townhouse closed.
So they varied.
Okay, so.
Every year it's
but
varied.
Otherwise,
it's a
the
second
interval's the same.
Tuesday, second Tuesday.
The interview's the same, it's just,
Tuesday isn't important, it's the fact that the town office isn't open on Monday. and
Right.
right.
The 15th would have been a Sunday, yeah, okay, that's fine.
And it's true, the 17th of October is a Tuesday.
But just to address the
You
question.
wouldn't have thought I had that right in the top of my
Yeah,
head,
they
would you?
did change.
Yeah, well, let's look at the calendar, yeah.
I have a calendar in here for next year.
I just want to say, I got 10 minutes before I
Yeah.
gotta leave. Is there anything you'd like, anything for me?
The only thing off the top of my head is, Tom, and I'll send this to you. I thought we're doing away with the account numbers,
We are.
and
I noticed that it hasn't been taken out.
I would like to see dollar amounts in there.
You know, we don't know what those dollar amounts are until we get the audit.
Then you
We don't know
keep
how
your-
much the carry forwards will be. The audit determines what the carry forward balances are.
Right.
So by October, November, whenever we get the audit, that's when we'll know the actual carry forward amount.
So then you should keep the account numbers there then.
Well, the problem is, we're gonna be changing account numbers.
Yeah.
We go to the new accounting system with this account, this accounting firm.
Oh,
So, the names are there, the names won't change, so, and actually, when we checked with the accounting firm, they said most towns don't put accountants in there, and they recommend not having. So, which I think is,
Where's the
we don't
land
need
use?
an accountant.
I guess I have one question, Dennis, that was,
Go ahead.
we were looking at, to get an answer on a legal aspect. And that was with the expenditure of public funds on private cemeteries.
Yes, I checked into that, and Maine State statute, and this is something Charlie and I can even agree on. Any cemetery prior to 1880, the town you can use town funds to maintain the whole cemetery, whatever needs to be done,
Provided
provided.
that
Go
there's
ahead,
been
Charlie.
no activity within the last 45 years.
Okay,
If there's been an interment within the last 45 years, the onus is on the owners of the lot.
Really?
Thank you.
So if anyone went in there to maintain it at all in the last 45 years, is that what you mean?
If someone's been interred in there.
Oh,
within the-
interred in there.
Within the last 45 years.
Okay.
and you can also spend
Boy, hot off the press.
money maintaining the fences around the cemeteries that have veterans in them.
No,
Okay, go ahead, Charlie. There's something about maintaining since after 1880.
okay. On those cemeteries that we were just talking about, you can do any necessary maintenance.
Yeah,
For any other cemetery, you're only authorized to expend municipal funds on
veterans.
veteran
Veterans.
cemeteries,
Grave sites,
on the plot,
plot.
unless,
not the whole
okay, this
cemetery.
is where I misunderstood. If we had a veteran cemetery,
But we don't.
no, I'm just saying, if we did, that's where I got, you could maintain the boundary and stuff like that, if it was just a veteran cemetery. But the other cemeteries, I agree, Charlie.
But Dennis,
See, Charlie and I agreed on most of this one.
most of it, yeah. I was listening that day. So would you need to have all that information for each of 82 cemeteries to decide what you're allowed to give to who?
Well, I think for us, I think that we need to make a recommendation to do this, and then it's between the cemetery committee and the board of selectmen
For crying out loud.
for the cemetery committee to show the board of selectmen that it's legal to do this where they want to do it.
On those guidelines, huh?
Yeah, under the state guidelines. I would think that's the way it would be.
I have a question for Tom. If that's,
I have one also.
okay,
Me too.
okay. I'll be quick. Tom, Land Use Office, their budget, is that going to be under general, maintenance? Where is it? Under general?
General government is 16.
Give me a moment. It's in here. Land use is on page 3, under general government.
Okay,
On
Tom.
the expense report, is that what you're referring to?
No, in the warrant.
No, on the warrant.
Under general, I assume it's under general government. Why do you ask?
Well, this is my issue with that,
Yeah,
is
we both had.
looking through the expense report, there's about $50,000 in the land use budget from last year
Yeah,
that wasn't spent,
yeah,
and I doubt it's going to be,
It's
And-
72,000,
72.
yeah.
And if that number that was presented, Tom, is the same this year as it was last year, that means that we're over budgeting by,
$72,029.67 as of today.
and I'm not quite sure how to get that I mean, if we took and we cut $70,000, for example, made a recommendation to cut $70,000 out of the general government account, I don't know how we would get to where we wanted to get,
You mean if you did it on the floor of the town meeting?
or even our recommendation.
Or,
Well, I think, you should ask the question about that surplus. You know, what's generating it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why hasn't the budget been adjusted?
Right.
Yeah.
To reflect that. I would ask that question. I think there are a couple things going on here. One is, there's money in this budget for a consultant, and that has not been used. And I know personally, I would love to see it used next year. So, but whether it needs to be there every year or not, I don't know. But personally, I would love to have an outside review of our report.
And this is the explanation we had a year ago, Tom. And-
There must be something to it, because I didn't give it to you.
No, I didn't say you did, but this is what, the 21,000, for example.
Yeah.
And then nothing was done. And it's just frustrating to budget for stuff.
I would ask the question.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't think we had a full year of salary for
Right.
the assistant
Or
exactly,
the
down
secretary.
there. So
the secretary, assistant.
secretary, so, you know, those two items alone are probably 40,000. I don't know what the rest of it is.
But, I mean, it's the same thing under fire and rescue, and I hate to, because I am a champion of that, but they spent 76% of their,
I understand, yeah.
and again, I mean, almost 200,000, well, $193,000.
Why don't you ask the question?
Okay.
We'll get you an
Yeah.
answer.
Okay,
Okay.
Because perhaps if we take another look at it, we may
Adjust it.
find there's an opportunity there. Okay?
exactly what you think. I think this is how we are
Yeah.
becoming richer and
When you
richer.
get those
Well,
things like that,
yeah.
I've looked through this, I see some that are
Yeah.
a little strange, and so, I'll be honest with you, I personally think the whole budget's gonna go through a complete review when we bring in the firm. They will assist us in constructing the budget
Right.
for next year, and I think they'll go through that with a fine tooth comb.
Right.
And,
If you have $80,000 you didn't spend this year, why are you asking for it next year? And we have some of that, so maybe not that dollar amount. And so what we're trying to do tonight, Tom, is compare the warrant articles to Spence and come up with your questions.
I would suggest you focus on the big ticket items.
Yeah,
And, you know, leave the smaller ones to be cleaned up next year when we go through the budget process.
yeah.
But, you know, like land use or maybe the fire department, and let's go after the big dollars.
Yeah.
That'd be my recommendation.
Can I go now?
Huh?
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, mine's on Article 39. To see if the town will vote to appropriate $10,000 from the unassigned fund balance to do a road assessment. I'm looking at the proposal from Sebago Technics, and it's 18.9. So we're looking at,
I've noticed that too.
Yeah,
And this is for that project.
yeah,
So, I'm not quite sure why this says 10, and I was looking at that proposal, it says 18.
well, I mean, Tom, also, I'm looking at the proposal, and this exact proposal, this work has already been done through RSMS. The only thing RSMS did not do was the mapping, and Pete Coughlin from Local Roads came in and updated our maps, and the state maintains a map of town roads and color codes them. This work has already been done. The road committee offered to redo the survey, and we did have someone from Local Roads come down from the state and spend a whole day with us, teaching us how to do these road surveys. And what this proposal is exactly what the road committee did back in 2018, and when the road committee and Jennifer updated our SMS in the system, we had offered to go and redo the survey to have updated information, and we're told that wasn't necessary. Spending almost $20,000 to do something, of work that was done by volunteers with the assistance of the state, and the state coming in and doing the mapping and having updated maps available to us now, just seems like like spending money we don't need to spend.
I gotta tell you, Leslie, I appreciate the work that has been done on this, but it hasn't been used.
That's why the road committee offered to redo it.
Well, I mean, but for whatever reason, there's something wrong that we aren't using it. If it was usable, good information, then we ought to be using it. Personally, I think what we really need is almost technical assistance to help us determine how to maintain these roads.
And that's different from what this.
That's what I want to get from Sebago. Should we be reclaiming all these roads?
But this proposal doesn't address that.
No, and it will be brought up Wednesday, because I think it needs to. That's primarily what I'm looking for, because reclaiming is very expensive.
Mhm.
And I've never seen us, for instance, patch or tar cracks, or, this is not my area of expertise, but there are various ways to go about maintaining roads. And it seems to me that we're using some of those, but not all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I could speculate as
Other
to,
towns would.
I could speculate as to why, but that this is neither the time or the place. But this proposal, I don't see the value in spending almost $20,000.
You're down to your opinion.
If there's a question, move forward.
Yeah,
And I think what Tom's really trying to say is, what he's looking at some guidelines on rules, or however you want to word it, on how we should be doing our job.
I've seen towns that have policies that
Right.
say exactly how they're gonna maintain their roads, and it's all spelled out.
and Tom, I agree. I think that we need that technical assistance also, but I don't think that this proposal does that.
I have that question, I'll raise it Wednesday. If it doesn't, then I would want it changed, because I don't need a colored map.
Right.
That
We already
doesn't
have
do
it.
Anything for anyone. I mean, it's interesting that you have it, but it really doesn't say what you need to be doing to each of your roads over time, given the current condition of the road. How do you maintain those?
Yeah.
And we need a maintenance plan.
Yeah, RSMS will make recommendations. It takes the politics out of doing roads, so you don't have political paving around
I'm
town.
clearly beyond my depth. All I
Yeah.
can tell you is, when I look at the cost that we're spending on roads now, I think there's gotta be an opportunity maybe to do something sooner that aren't quite so expensive, that will extend the life.
Crack sealing is a good thing, and it doesn't happen here.
But that's why I think having a firm like Sebago can be very useful. They do this for other towns, and so I gotta leave. Any other questions?
We're all set, Tom.
All right.
We'll send them to
you
you.
questions.
Sorry to take you.
Thank you for coming, Tom. I appreciate it.
Do you mind if I make a comment on
Go ahead,
on
John.
what was just discussed? After doing many construction reviews on road projects, one of the things that, in going through some of the historical documents in this town, and in a lot of small towns, I would imagine, is inadequate base was developed for a lot of the roads. And so being able to maintain a road on inadequate base is a perennial, it's an annual, excuse me, not perennial, it's an annual issue.
Charlie, I don't know if you've read the proposal,
No, I haven't had a chance to.
but where is it here?
I mean, you'll never have a good road is what I'm trying to say.
No, and we have a lot, I mean, and this proposal does not address the base. All it does is the road surface,
I mean,
which
yeah.
is the RSMS is Road Surface Management Systems.
Right, but it doesn't address the base
Right.
subsurface conditions.
I think if
I
you,
mean, there's quite a few roads that I'm sure that were basically paved over dirt.
if you listen to the original proposal, it did not say that they were gonna drill into the core of the road and see what the subgrade was.
Right.
So in other words, I'm assuming that the work that the road committee has done over a period of years would be basically the same.
It is.
These people would be giving you, there'd just be an update. And
He-
I know, all credit to Mr. McGurty, he's not knowledgeable in that sense. I mean, several people can look at a road and tell you, well, it's not only the subsoil, it's this and that, it's frost heaves. There's a spring down the road that's causing a frost heave. It's the way the road's laid out, it's laid in clay, and it changes, and the way the roads were built around here is, hey, we're going from here to, 109, we're gonna cut trees, and, I swear, even on my road, there's stumps and cows and everything, and it comes up and down and that. But years ago, we have no idea how they built the roads, and the only way really to do is to, is to drill cores,
Drill
which,
into it.
The proposal reads, roads will be evaluated based on visual surface conditions. No subsurface investigation will be
Right.
performed.
that's already,
That's a
it's
waste
already,
of money.
That's a
it's
waste of
already
money.
been done.
The raking will consider surface pavement condition, rideability, and traffic volumes. The state does traffic counts. The road committee has already gone through and
Didn't a new
did
one
a
just come
survey.
out? Didn't one just come out?
New traffic count?
Yeah.
Probably. And when when the road committee and Jennifer updated the system, got all of the information into the program, we offered to go and do a new survey to have updated condition, and we're politely told not to.
No,
So,
are they having trouble presenting the week-to-week work into that system? Or I still don't understand what's wrong,
I don't know.
other than
Nobody
being
does.
computer illiterate like I am.
I brought that up once when they were talking to the road commissioners, and we were talking about what you put in a database, obviously, is what you're gonna get out of it. And they seemed to be having trouble getting input to that, which of course is, this whole thing's totally reliant on that. And then on top of that, getting proposals that are totally useless, and the point Charlie made, RSMS isn't looking at anything below the surface, right?
RSMS isn't, and neither is this
Right, so
proposal for the.
Proposal's useless, and RSMS in effect is useless.
RSMS is not useless if
Well, in
it's properly used.
Right, it helps.
You
but
have to use it for its intended purpose.
Right.
historical data,
Well, no.
That's a big
it-
one.
More than that.
It's giving you an indication of what the surface is. Absolutely fabulous. The surface in the middle of winter is going to be different than the surface right now, only because of ground movement. Point that Joe brought up about, frost heave and stuff. If it's built in clay, then someone should have put in some drainage to remove that water. And there should have been a better base under it so the base could drain and not just laying pavement over clayed surface. But the only way to evaluate the roads is you have to core them. And that's expensive.
but the thing is, Charlie,
But that's the only way to have a road that's gonna last.
It's expensive up front,
Up
but
front it is.
over a long period of time,
It pays for itself.
right.
if you don't have the data, and this is a big thing with this RSMS, if you don't have the data that says what's been done on this road in the last 5 years, 10 years, you get into people not knowing what you're talking about under the road.
There's no baseline.
And you're going and you're changing culverts that really don't need to be changed because, nobody knows when that one was put in. Or you're re-ditching a road 2 years in a row, like was done up Young's Ridge, back on the back side. So that was ditched 3 times in 10 years. Well, that's a lot of money and not to accomplish anything. And if we had a system where it would say, okay, we just ditched this last year. Why are we bitching it again this year? Then it begs the question of, really, why? Why wasn't it done right the first time?
Well, no, I can see the historical value is nice. If you have a repeat incident of a similar type year after year on a particular section of a road, that will cause you, my understanding of your program, is to concentrate and start asking questions, which is what you're raising. Why do we have this particular problem here? Whether it's a crack in the pavement that's always happening in this one area, so is there, frost movement and it's pushing rocks up to the road? Or is it a drainage issue, to where you need to do some culverts, so you lower that hydraulic gradient? So I see the value in the RSMS. I mean, it definitely has a value.
Yeah, I mean, and it does prioritize what work
Right.
needs to be done on what roads. And when the state was here, their comment was that the majority of the problems for roads are caused by drainage and the shoulders, improper shoulders, which we have, and he, and as we're riding around town, he was like, these shoulders all need work, and you would save a lot of money on your roads if this was done properly.
Correct.
We
Okay.
probably should have
I think one of the things, though, because we can dissect this 100 ways, but one of the things I know one of the road commissioners has said, if he was in his truck with a little, is that a notebook, Leslie, or whatever it is?
Tablet, whatever.
Tablet, whatever it is, and he's going around and he sees something onto RSMS, pop, 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 it's done.
But they are working on making that
Well, that's-
available.
that's good.
It's gonna take time for them to make that
Leslie, that's
web-based.
good. My big point is this, until we got RSMS, we had nothing but what somebody remembered. We now have RSMS. It's kind of like Tom said about some of the things tonight. We've got this program, it hasn't been utilized. It's got to be utilized as a first step. And then once we have the first step done, and, then it becomes clear that, and I know it's a state road, so it's a bad example, but when you come down the end of the road you guys all, when you come down off of
109?
Youngs Ridge onto 109?
Youngs Ridge to 109, there has always been a swimming pool, if you will, there, and a skating rink. And that gets repaired. It never gets repaired. It gets a plaster put on it.
Band-Aid.
Or they put a cone in
Band-Aid
it.
on it, because it hasn't been.
That's what he did 3 weeks ago. He put a Band-Aid and it washed out in the
Okay.
first rain.
Well,
and
West
now
Shore
it's all over
Drive, the
place.
first half of West Shore Drive
People,
was done. But we've
Excuse
got to
me.
give it a going.
what I'd like to do here is, we're debating the maintenance issue,
True.
and we're supposed to be talking about the warrant articles.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead, Charlie.
excuse me, I don't mean to really be rude or interrupt, but I think the discussion is important because it goes to the article that's actually in here,
Right,
that Leslie brought up, Article 39.
yeah.
I mean, why are we spending, why would we have an article to spend money for something that
We
the town
already
already
have.
has?
Right.
There's no benefit.
And that,
There's no purpose in spending that money.
I agree, Charlie.
I mean, the maintenance issue, that's something for the road commissioners to collect the data, enter it into the RSMS. If there's a problem accessing the software that the town has paid for, then you have to address the access issue. All of that is beyond our
Yeah.
pay grade.
So then we would just vote no if we don't like it, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like it,
I think it's a foolish expenditure of funds,
Okay.
based on what's been
We could
said so far.
we could put that money to maintenance and cleaning culverts and
Okay.
to something else.
Well, that's the conversation we could have with the road commissioners.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we can't.
Sorry.
That's-
Well,
Sorry, Charlie.
we don't start somewhere. You know?
You gotta start somewhere.
That is the
Right.
point exactly. We have
We
to
got to start somewhere, okay? All right.
So we got to, we did Article 14, we're not gonna have any numbers, dollar amounts.
Where are you, 14?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, if this, why don't we have what did he say? We don't have numbers for yet. Why?
because we won't know until the end of the year.
The year's not over,
Well, I know that, but
but that's why we won't have numbers.
we're talking about 4 weeks.
Anything can happen in 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I know, but
Don't have
I
numbers.
thought he said because we don't have the audit.
But
And
that's what
that's
this
what
is.
threw me, and that's what this
He
is.
did say that, actually, but,
He did say because we don't have the
And then he
audit.
went and printed it because
right.
it
Yeah,
wasn't on the website, or at least I couldn't find it anywhere.
no. But he did say audit, so that's why I was
I
confused.
thought I heard him say money as well, or dollars, numbers.
You know,
With that, the cemetery committee funds, the cemetery committee has one fund.
We're jumping around
We're
here. I
jumping.
thought we were going to Article
14.
15.
14, I'm sorry, Charlie, we can go by that one yet. The cemetery committee is one fund
That's.
on page 12.
Way down in the
Page
list
12.
of articles.
Page 12, so where you are?
The cemetery committee, unless they're including the cemeteries that, where this is perpetual care, which is 6 of them, but those will be different accounts.
Are you just questioning because it says funds and not fund?
No, that's just about carrying over any residuals. Article 14.
So if there's 10 funds, and for the cemetery, that's one thing covers all of it, is what you're saying, Charlie?
That's how I
How,
would
how
read
it
it.
is the
No.
town has that broken up, I don't know.
well, the town always gives $300
3,000.
3,000.
for the flags,
No.
to the
Yeah, for
cemetery
flags and
committee.
holders and
flags
stuff.
and holders, 3,000.
Yeah, that's Article 31.
Okay, they always give that. Now, this year, they're asking, when they were here, for 10,000,
Article 32. An additional,
An
an additional,
not just a total of 3,
No,
10,
but
but
an
an additional
additional.
10.
right.
All right, we'll get to that.
But
I
we're
thought
not
we were
there
on-
yet.
I'm so confused.
We're not there yet.
I was just curious about these funds, you know, I mean, there's different accounts, it's just,
I would,
Well, you're talking about the cemeteries that are held in trust.
yes.
Trust has nothing to do with the municipal budget. It shouldn't.
Oh.
If it is included, commingled, then we have a real problem here in the town.
So that should be not a plural word, because the cemetery committee only has one fund.
So you're talking about page 12, Article 14.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes,
It says funds and not fund.
Yeah,
Okay.
all right. We want to omit the S.
because like you said, if the trust has nothing to do,
It should not. Those are separate funds and they should not be commingled.
boy,
They're not fungible. Like those words?
yeah.
I actually love the word fungible.
Yeah.
This 15 is just boilerplate, what we've done for,
Article 15,
yeah, quite a while. Listed, we changed all that a few years back, so all those funds were listed. Now, the municipal government. This is where we was talking about, with Tom, about everything, being lumped together.
are you still on 15?
no,
16.
Article 16, I'm sorry.
16.
That's the general government, and that would be the governing body, which is the selectmen, the town gym, the assistants, municipal management,
that's from this sheet.
the register of voters, finance treasurer, town administrator, land use. Those are all combined in that dollar amount. And you heard us earlier saying, if you look in your expense sheet, and I think when we go down through, I think we have to go through every one of these that we have to try to come up with the bottom line number for the warrant article.
Yeah, aggregate them all. Yep.
Yeah. And the governing body, which is the selectmen, that money's gonna be gone. Obviously, this year, they're adding in one more position.
Why, I mean, that hasn't been, that's part of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why are we only adding one position as opposed, if the goal is 2, a total of 5 on the board, why is the town only, and this is a rhetorical question, why is there only one position being voted on?
That's the way the petition
It's
was,
written.
we've got changed to 4 this coming year, then 5 the following year.
So for 1 year, you're gonna have potentially
A tie.
split.
A split.
Why not have the article for 5, and one of them is for 2 years, right, is what they normally are?
You're right, 3 years and
3 years.
2 years, like that.
So you have one for 1 year or 2 years, and one for the 3 years, the full term.
I agree with you, Charlie, but that isn't the way
And the
Was written.
person who gets the maximum number of votes, they get the full
Yeah.
3-year term, and the first runner-up gets the residual position.
I agree.
Too late to do that now, though, even if they wanted to, because nominations papers were already
Yeah, but,
closed.
So,
right,
You'll have an even number plus the quorum goes up to 3.
yeah,
So, yeah,
so that's why it's like it is, Charlie, because that's the way the
Yeah,
petition
but
was
if the-
written.
So
Nomination papers are
possibly a
in.
lot of failed votes.
right.
But the nomination papers were just for a selectman's position.
right.
Right.
But Kim's
selectmen.
position is over,
Well, her term expires,
yes.
but, so there's one position, and then you're adding a position.
So it's 2
Right.
That has
positions
nothing to
open.
do with nomination papers.
Right. Right, the
No,
town,
It's done.
the town meeting decided to change the way we're doing business, and they're the only ones that can do that.
Right, so,
And when they did the petition, this is the way the petition was worded.
but
So,
we haven't voted on it yet.
the petition,
Yeah,
yes,
we
last
did
year.
Last year,
We voted on the addition of one last year?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
We voted on the petition
yeah.
to add more selectmen.
Yes, it was a non-binding, if I remember correctly, that was last fall.
November.
No.
Now, the non-binding was the one, not change of town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. There's an annual town
So
meeting.
we
did
voted
it.
to increase the number of selectmen, but it didn't
To
say,
5.
it didn't say how many for this
Yeah,
year.
4 this year
It did.
and 5 next year.
Did
It
it?
said from 3 to 5, if I remember.
Yeah, that's,
No, it really did,
Specified.
it really did say 4 this year and 5 next year.
You have that.
It really did.
And looking in the MMA,
I don't know if, I don't know if it would be on here.
I think we have a printed one.
But that's why it's like it is.
Getting back to this Article 16, is this wages include a 5% raise for all the
All these
municipal-
departments.
All these
Yeah,
departments.
Okay.
5% for the
That's
selectmen.
that also includes whatever
Yeah,
raise the health insurance or benefits they have.
Yep.
So it could be as much as 15% overall, ever,
Depending on how much insurance went up.
yeah.
no, 5% is 5%. You don't add them.
yeah, that's got
5%
nothing
and
to,
8% you don't add together?
Well, no, the 5%, if there's 5% on each one of it, it's still only an increase of 5%.
No, what I'm saying, usually the insurance is more than the
Oh, okay.
pay increase.
I think that went up something like 12% or something. they
What I was
said.
saying years back is, you know, you get a health insurance increase that the town pays, and then you get a wage increase that the town pays. So, you know, in some places, people say, well, what do you want? You know, which one do you want? You can't
I
have
see
one.
what he's saying.
So,
But still, you don't add them when you're totaling up here. I mean, it would be a weighted average. Is
yeah, well, it's an increase, is it not?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
Okay. Now, with the operational expenses, what actually is that?
where are you, Joe?
Article 18.
Article 16, operational expenses,
It's back on the warrant.
306,100.
Oh, that's what I was saying, Joe. that this is all these departments combined.
Operation would be,
The selectmen,
Like the electricity, the paper,
what I'm talking about, what specifically is the operational expenses? What is it?
The cost of doing business
Just the cost of,
yeah.
in the town.
Everything it takes to operate.
Yep,
like the training, dues, electricity,
Treasurer,
rental of equipment, phone
Everything.
costs.
FDIC, FIC,
They actually group that under benefits.
That would be under wages and,
the way it's listed over here.
and health and welfare is,
Under here, employee
Whatever.
benefits, they have FICA underneath benefits.
Well, then what's this one over here?
Under employee benefits, they have unemployment comp, workers' comp, health insurance, FICA, and Medicare, and something, employee benefits, I don't know what, that's the total for that section, I'm
Okay.
assuming.
Under 05,
05,
yeah. Which was the next one down from where you were.
that's 04.
You were,
I was 303.
wait a minute.
502 is employee benefits for municipal management.
Okay,
So you have, these are all employee
Right.
benefits, this is the total for what's here. So you have the unemployment comp, the workers' comp, health insurance, FICA, Medicare, and whatever this last one is. I don't know what that abbreviation means. Overtime employee benefits, that's what O must be. That makes mathematical sense to me. Because we'd have to look under where there might be overtime somewhere in here, and I don't feel like going through that right now.
no, I think what we gotta do is go back, and instead of moving around, we gotta look at the elections. That line always depends on how many town meetings we have. That's always up and down.
and traditionally, we've always over budgeted that line.
Yeah,
always.
yeah. Registered voters, I mean, that's a set rate of pay.
Now, register of voters, all right, that's a position for when we have elections and voting and stuff like that here. Why, and this is a question for the general public and for the select board when they actually hear it, or watch this, why do we close the town office when we're having elections if we're paying people separately?
I got no idea.
Because we're already paying for office staff,
Yep,
and they're being paid to be there for X number of hours
yep.
per week. And we have a register of voters, and we have fees, money set aside for all the clerks.
Yeah.
That's separate. Why do we close that office? If someone wants to conduct town business, they should be able to conduct town business.
I don't disagree with you, Charlie. That's something that selectmen,
All right, and that's a rhetorical question. It's not one that this
Okay.
board is going to address. That's what I said.
Phew.
It's for the public.
I'm glad.
Rhetoricals can be fun.
I really didn't
Right,
want
I mean, the question has to be brought up so people can actually start thinking about it. And I don't mind being the person stirring the pot.
I appreciate
Said for you,
you not forcing me to put my foot in my mouth on that one,
Not asking
Charlie.
you to do anything. I said it was rhetorical.
you're a troublemaker.
The finance treasury, that's basically on what was budgeted,
Where are we at now?
right on par.
I think
Number
we're still-
11 under general government.
No.
I thought we were looking at articles.
We are.
Article.
Oh, we're still on Article
Still on
16.
16.
But you're going through the
I'm
expense
going through the
summary.
expense thing so we can see what the expenses are and make them fit the dollar amount in the warrant article.
So you're on page
Page 2 of the expense report.
11. Page 2, got it.
And like I said, the treasurer, that's basically, town administrator is basically the same thing. They're at 83% of what was budgeted. The,
Well, if you were looking at operational expenses, then
yeah,
under treasurer, we're way over.
Charlie, I think a lot of that is training which needed to be done.
Right, but, I mean,
I mean, who anticipated we were gonna need a new treasurer?
right. But if we're just looking at wages, then yeah, we can go through this, but operational expenses, they're gonna be all over the place.
what I think, Charlie, is that we need to look at the actual cost, and you're right. But these numbers being under and over is a good record to have for budgeting purposes in the future. And you can ask the question, why are we overspent this one here by $4,000 this year?
Right,
And
so-
do we need to adjust that?
But this here, so what I think you should do is, we should go back to the budget as proposed by each one of the departments, and take each one of those, group it into one of these four, and then add them up, and compare what all those add up, and then go and sort through this, and group it into these fours, and see how, were they over, under, and why, to answer your question. But I don't think we're gonna do that tonight. This is
Unless
gonna
we
take-
get done tomorrow morning.
Yeah, this is gonna take considerable amount of time.
What we need, Charlie, is we need, expense reports for, say, the past 5 years in a CSV file.
That would be nice.
And then that way we can look at trends.
Sure.
For,
You could graph it out.
yeah, where are we consistently over budgeting and under budgeting? And that really is the only way to know.
And I don't see any reason why we can't have that.
Can you ask for that, Dennis?
We can ask whatever you guys want to ask for.
I mean, I would ask for all of these in a CSV file format.
Yeah, for 5 years, the past 5 years.
Sure. And you could see trends then. I agree with you 100%. That would be nice.
We'll be working through the summer, guys. You know, again, I'm going to,
We can ask the question if that's available.
yeah,
It is available, it's a matter of
It's
pressing a
available.
button on.
Anything's
in
available,
Trio.
but,
And the computer should spit it right out.
Yeah. We'll adjust the questions, but you can write it down, is it available, just so that we can remember that you asked the question. Okay.
so you want all months, as it's called here, expense summary reports for 5 years. Is that correct?
Not all months, I would just take a year to,
Year to date.
End of year, yeah,
End of
end of
year.
year, and then for this year, up until whatever day.
Current.
Current, yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay, so the last 5 years
Last 5 years, end of year.
of year.
For current year. For FY current year. Or current year FY.
It's almost kind of like the school gave us,
It is,
the different departments and stuff, the 3-year.
yep,
That's a 3-year, not a 5-year.
right.
I think 5-year will give us a little bit more information as far as how we're over and under budgeting.
I agree.
The land use, I think we might have addressed that already, when Tom was here. There's 2 big things there. One is professional, unless I'm confusing them.
No, non-supervisor, no,
The
Subcontracted
would-
services was at 21,000,
yeah.
And that would be the consultant.
Yeah, that's North Star.
right, and which we were told last year that's what we're gonna do, and they never did. And,
Is that a running on retainer firm, or?
Yes.
no, it's by the hour.
Yeah, they've signed a contract.
It's not,
Is it an annual contract, or is it,
it should be,
It should be an annual contract.
but we don't know.
I don't know what it is now.
but it's an hourly thing,
But it's
anyway.
hourly.
And they never use them for anything this year. is what
They
it-
hardly use them
Now, who
this year.
was,
No,
who
no,
was
I'm not talking
the,
about the town
Oh, the
itself.
town itself, no.
Never used
well, we're
it.
talking land use. We had or the planning board had an engineer,
No, that was the consultant.
That's paid for, Charlie, by the applicant
okay.
on the
but-
conditional use.
But yeah, I understand that part, but
The actual
they were
town,
representing the town's interest, although the contractor was paying for it, and that's by ordinance.
right.
So none of that we don't see any, we're not gonna see an expense on that, okay, fine.
No, but what this 21,000 was for was they were supposed to have the land use consultant go through our ordinances and find things that
Inconsistencies.
inconsistent or
Inconsistent.
didn't apply to today's world, or, you know what I mean? That was the whole purpose, to update the ordinances.
Yeah,
The
laws-
planning board used to do that themselves, but now they don't do that anymore. And I just don't want to budget for it again and have them not use the money again.
Right.
It just doesn't make any
Because
sense.
nowadays, even the board itself can't do it
Why not?
because
They're not qualified.
they're actually not qualified to do that kind of thing. There are companies, my God, Leslie, how many did we see?
We saw, there was 3 or 4 of them.
3 or 4, anyway, because they're gonna go by state law, and they're gonna look at your laws, everything's gonna be covered in it, that, just would be a bit overwhelming for,
Let me tell you a personal
Board.
experience about planning boards and
oh,
revisions of land use ordinances. A lot of but my personal experience is that a town hired a quote-unquote professional engineer to do a revision and a review of the land use ordinance. And basically what the firm did, and I base this on what they presented to the town, they did a cut and paste out of what used to be a model ordinance that was put out by the state planning office, which does not exist anymore.
no, it doesn't, I know.
They did a cut and paste, dropped it in the town's lap, charged an awful lot of money for it, and we went and we redid that whole proposal. After we paid for all of that, because it was worthless. There's no reason why the planning board can't do this. It's just common sense. There are plenty of model ordinances out there. You can cut and paste out of other towns' ordinance, none of it's copyrighted.
Well, that's what happens here.
Right.
That is what happens
And that's fine,
here.
but the planning board here knows, or should know best, what the needs of this town are, not somebody somewhere else in another town or another state that you hire to do something. All the people that were there are fairly competent. They may not be engineers, but they're fairly competent. They can read, they can interpret, and they know what the town needs. I think they should go and do their revisions in-house. It's
think-
not
But
hard.
I'll give you an example.
I think
When,
we have to disagree.
when we were doing, when the planning board was doing the, changing from going to state standards for forestry, it took 3 years to get it
3
right.
years it took us to do that.
But is that because the state, just like the shoreline zoning, the state kept changing?
Well, no, this was the state came back and said, no, you need to change this wording is wrong, you need to change that. Took 3 years for the planning board to accomplish going back on state standards for
On
forestry.
one thing.
Yeah, but all they had to do on something like that, because those laws change regularly, is all they had to do was per state guideline. Takes the onus off the town completely. You're gonna get permits from the state anyway for those functions. So unless there was something truly particular the town was looking for in forestry or in shoreland zoning, it was pretty much just per. Because I know shoreline zoning, we went through revision after revision. It was almost like every 6 months, they were changing directors and changing the shoreline zoning
And they're
requirements
still
for the
doing that,
state.
and they're still doing that.
Right,
Yeah.
and,
Well,
and
the
so
be-
it's
best
just real
kicker-
simple with the ordinance, is you just, per state requirement. Done. It
Best
takes the
kicker.
heat off of the town.
Best kicker is 2 years later that the state came in and said, you do not issue permits anymore.
And because it was too onerous,
State.
too complicated.
State does it.
Yeah,
Go to the state.
But still,
Yeah.
my point is that there's no reason why the planning board can't do their own revisions and amendments to their ordinance. They're competent.
We're getting off the track again, and it's our fault.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dennis.
The other part in the land use thing is, which is
I'm sorry.
a pretty good dollar amount, is the mileage and tolls. There's 8,000 budgeted, and 2,100 expended. It's almost $6,000. Even if they do some more, there's gonna be at least $5,000 too much in that sub-account. Just pointing that out. And that is the end of, no, we have health and welfare, and that's our town health officer.
The nurse, we have the nurse,
Yeah,
we have the nurse in there. And where is the
That's the
fire
next one.
department
Kind of a
person?
little bit, yeah.
That would probably be in the fire
there
department.
is no fire department person in this one. They put it all in the fire department.
Yeah, we have a town nurse.
My
But
question,
not
my
in that.
question is, why do,
The salary and wages for the
Their
health
stipend.
officer, the stipend is $500, Charlie,
why have they only
Right.
paid out
I see
$250?
that.
because only gave her half of it so far. They should have given her the other half by now, I would think, but.
This is dated 5/8,
But this
so
is,
they
this is
have
the health
a
officer, this isn't for
a month and a
nurse.
half.
That's, it's
Term-
under health and welfare.
Terminology.
Terminology, it's health and welfare.
The health officer is a nurse,
Oh, okay.
traditionally anyway.
What would be the miscellaneous items? They've spent nothing on that. Their general, general assistance?
general
Yeah, never mind
assistance.
that. That
They haven't
just
given out any
answered that.
general assistance.
No, that just answered the question,
Yeah.
so. I only looked at the amount and the miscellaneous, I didn't look at the line above.
Yeah,
So all those numbers add into that article,
but don't we have to leave that in by state law?
yes.
General assistance? Yeah. So it just sits there.
Article 17, $10,000, the unassigned fund to be placed in the town hall lot capital reserve account.
Dennis, isn't there already 75,000 in that account?
Yeah.
Why is it in there?
What's that, Joe?
Why is that in there, the $10,000?
They want to add another 10,000 to it.
So they want to have
Well, they don't even know
85,000.
what they could do with the 75, do they?
No, there's no plan.
Well,
Mo, this could be contributing to your surplus.
Well, when, they just put out, back to Sebago, Leslie, you have Sebago on the parking lot here?
Let me see if I can get
they're
it.
looking to do a topo survey,
Right.
1 foot
Which-
contours.
Is that what they're gonna do?
Yeah.
For $10,000.
Well, I don't know, I didn't read
For
that far.
$10,000, really?
Joyce, where would it be? I've got a facility assessment, a town hall survey.
Look at that
Town hall
one.
survey.
Okay.
Yeah, that, I don't know
That's
who
a
comes up
parking
with
lot
those
one, isn't
names,
it?
but man, they're not very descriptive.
They're not, no,
Right.
they're not good at all.
I think that's for the
I can-
parking
I
lot
can
and stuff.
suggest-
Yeah.
Tell you.
What's the amount of
I
money
have the
for
right to
that?
Behave,
The
behave.
amount of money for this is, topographic and boundary survey is 7,500, and subsurface utility locate is 1,800. Won't
So-
Call Dig come in and do it for free?
Yeah.
Yeah, but so 75 and 18, right?
Yeah.
So they're asking for
I
$10,000.
think they rounded up.
I think they rounded up a lot, but that's what it is.
But like my thought is,
Oh, they only rounded up by $500-600, I mean, it's not
Right.
much.
No,
But
but,
why didn't they put it in the article to survey, do the topo of the town hall?
well,
I mean, why didn't they put it in the article what we're spending the money on so that we know?
but that has nothing to do with the other capital reserve for the parking lot. The other,
No, I realize that,
You
but this is
realize-
an
okay.
additional one. you know?
Yeah, because they fear they're gonna need $75,000 to do the parking
I
lot.
realize that.
Whenever they do it.
But why don't
So
they
now
word it
want-
so that we know what this $10,000 is for?
Is that,
If we
is that,
knew why they worded it, we'd be,
They're
Right.
not,
All right, well, I'm just,
they're not
that's how
saying,
my mind works.
they're not saying what it's for.
is that proposal there, is that for the entire property?
no,
Will perform a boundary retracement and topographical survey of Town Hall property identified as parcel number 229-001 on the Acton
Okay.
tax
Yep.
database.
Map and lot.
They will perform record search of both the municipal and county respiratories on the property as well as the abutting properties. We will perform field work to tie into boundary evidence such as monuments, iron pipes and/or rods, fence lines, and other boundary evidence in support of the record documents. Perform a topographical survey at 1-foot contour interval. We will also locate significant improvements located on the property as well as visual utilities which serve the property. Sebago will prepare a plan depicting the results of this survey and will set a 5/8-inch rebar with plastic identification caps at all unmarked property corners. And the subsurface utility locate, Sebago will subcontract to have subsurface utilities located and marked. Sebago will field locate utility markings and show on the existing conditions plan.
yeah,
Okay,
called
so
dig
that,
safe.
that proposal has nothing to do with this article.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is just, to me, when I read this, they're just adding, they want to add 10K to the existing 75 that's already there for the parking lot capital reserve account.
That's what I'm saying, Charlie.
Yeah, that's the way I read this. It's just, you're just adding to it so that when the time comes that you actually develop your plan and you want to do something, you have some money sitting
Right, you have
already
money.
earmarked for that, and you're not scrambling to.
How many
Where's
years?
the money coming for what she just read? Where's that money coming?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
All right,
That's the way, I think that's the point. The way this is written, this is going in to whatever the project is gonna be.
No, this is just going into the reserve account. There
The-
is no project.
Exactly.
We know there's no project now. We know the account is in existence to be prepared for the project. This will all have to be voted, again,
For its expenditure,
for its expenditure,
correct.
okay? But it,
But the point so far is that this article has nothing to do with that proposal. Where the funds are come from that, I have no idea, and we're not even gonna debate that. I don't think we should.
How long have we had that $75,000 in that parking lot?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
maybe.
years?
2 years.
So every year, the price of asphalt increases.
15%.
So,
But the
Has
city
there
could
been a
never,
request for proposal, so there's some kind of estimate on what it's actually gonna cost? How'd they come up with these numbers?
we don't know.
Oh, boy, that's.
We don't know.
So how do you budget for something you've never even had?
You don't know.
We don't know. Okay, well, this is what this is what became, why I became on this committee is, I asked that question, I said, well, now I'm gonna go find out. They had all this extra thing, they paid for a fire truck that was paid for, but it was never delivered or anything, but it was all paid
Right.
for. $75,000 this, I don't know what, I can't remember. It was just like, you know,
Yeah,
Christmas.
that's what you budgeted
They had all this extra money that
$85,000.
they had to disperse. And so they came up with these, whatever, you know, so.
You budget $85,000 for a non-existent project.
it's almost like,
It doesn't
it's
have
spending
an
other people's
RFP
money
or
is,
But there was no
You know,
plan in the sense that, what were you gonna do with the firehouse? So then we decided, well, what are we gonna do with the firehouse? And then we got estimates that to tear it down would be $14,000, tear it down and haul it away. Now you got a clear lot, put some good gravel down, now you got an open area, now you got more parking for this and that. If you expand this building, can you go out that way? And this is what we're doing essentially, trying to figure out where we're headed. Instead of head that way and then 5, 10 years say, hey, where are we going? We can't go any further, whatever, so.
I don't see how we can move forward with this at all until they decide what they're gonna do with the land and the facilities.
Well, no, but I had mentioned, approach the church and maybe purchase a little bit of land out back, so that if they went out back.
But back to Article 17, what Charlie says is correct.
We're just
If-
adding money to the,
If we're just adding money, to the account.
Makes no sense.
Why?
I don't know. Ask whoever wrote it. Find out who in
No.
particular wrote it,
What is it for?
and that's all. Ask
Well,
them.
it says what it's for. It's for
Yeah,
an
generally it says
appropriation of
it.
10K going to a reserve account.
Specifically.
So the question that you have, that I think you're posing is, does it make fiscal sense to have a reserve account this far in advance for something that you don't even know what you're gonna do? Is
Well,
that,
that's true in a lot of things in this.
No, I agree with you, Charlie.
I mean, I frankly, I do think that's overthinking it. I want to know, what did you want, just very simple. What do you think this $10,000 for?
Where's your plan?
What is your plan? What is it for? And if they answer, it's just to go into the account, that's one thing. But if they say, well, we need that money to pay Sebago, then forget it.
well,
You know, that's not what the article
that's
says.
not what the article is for.
That's not what the article's for. That's not
Okay,
what it
so that's
says.
where we'll ask the question, what is the,
Now, I got it right here.
okay.
Doesn't that apply to the 75,000 that they're trying to add this to?
That's what we're
That's what it says
the
here, that's the way it's
question.
We're under
worded.
the bridge at this point.
Right, but
That's already there.
that's what it's, how it's worded.
Yeah, it's worded like it's going in there.
Yes, sir. Fire and rescue. When we met with Wayne, he did a great job presenting his budget, and then the selectmen asked him to get it under 10%, and he went back and reworked the numbers, and I think he got it down to about 9%. Unless somebody really has some bottom line questions for the fire department, I don't.
Did he take that third air pack off the request? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what
that
he
was
did.
necessary, in doing something like that.
That's what he did.
That's between him and the selectmen, I guess.
You know, the only thing I wondered about,
We're not gonna add money to it, Joe.
the only thing I wondered about is under supplies. They haven't spent $15,000, okay? If you look at that line. They had 40,000 under fire, public safety, fire and rescue. Their total is $40,000.
What number is that?
503.
503,
Bottom of page 3, 503.
yeah.
You know, I seem to remember he explained that, but I don't remember
Yeah,
what
he
the
was going to be
explanation
replacing
was.
some.
Sure you do, page 3,
Well, page 3 is here. Okay, yeah, 503 there.
okay?
Yeah, it was the suits, you're
My
right.
question
Right.
is this, if he has, if they are $15,334, you know, that they haven't spent, granted, it's not a hell of a lot of money, sorry, but, you know, it's 40% is left. Why are we putting in $7,000 for the phone system? Wouldn't,
They're for two very different things. He's explained the increase on that supplies was so that they could purchase suits.
it's
Every year.
It says office under it, though. That's what I'm wondering.
No,
No?
you're right, Margarita. I remember him coming up, talking about some of the suits were going to be expiring.
In so many
Okay.
years. So
Time
each
limit.
year, he wants to purchase X amount of suits.
Okay, that
So
goes
that
back to
as
what
they
he was-
expire, he has
That's what
replacements.
Joe was saying then.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when he came to us, it was 3. I think the selectmen got him to drop it to 2
Correct.
a year.
Yeah, okay, that's why it's,
Now, suits, you're talking about their turnout gear?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
no, this
Well,
is
no.
a air pack.
No, that's
Oh,
different. That's a
that's
separate
EA?
line item,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he had requested 3.
The supply, I think the supplies was the turnout gear.
I think it's
The,
53 under fire equipment, right?
Yeah, the scuba is the air packs.
Right, because they have separate line items for
Yeah, they
that
have
SCBA.
Yeah, SCBA is, and then fire equipment has a separate line.
Yes, and I believe he gave the explanation that there was a couple of, there was a valve that went to the fire truck.
Those are like $3,000 a piece if one goes bad.
Correct.
Which they would need to replace. So he needed to have that and have money to purchase additional gear
Okay.
each
that-
year.
That sounds good.
Yeah, you said one of those valves was ready to go.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can someone explain, because I forgot this already, my bad. What's the issue about a dry hydrant? What is that?
They want to replace, they need to replace the one that's down here by the park.
Okay, but it hasn't been done yet?
No.
Because nothing's been expended?
So they got the money last
Okay.
year,
Because that
It's
one
appropriated,
is
but it hasn't been
rusted
but it
out.
hasn't been spent.
Yeah.
And the new telephone system, that's the next article?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So. what's this new
Which
telephone
is separate
system?
from their regular budget.
Correct.
Their telephone system is the one that I had in elementary school. You can't transfer
No,
to it, you can't leave any voicemails for the fire chief.
none.
So it's got like sticky
Charlie-
notes on his
Oh,
door.
my God.
Charlie, we did recommend that they do it as a separate article. We recommended that.
No, it makes sense if it's that antiquated a system, but 7K for a phone system? My God.
We paid more than that here.
Yeah, they went off of the one that we did here.
It's the same company that
Yeah.
they got a price from.
Is it a PBX system, or is it just fancy?
No idea, Charlie. No idea.
Who knows?
Marguerite's talking about the system when she was in school.
I know.
They're lucky they don't have the same phone system when I was in school.
Yeah, we did. We had-
What phone system?
Smoke signals, huh?
Very
Yeah.
good.
No, we had
very
cans with strings on them.
I had those two, I had those two.
good. No. Number, please.
The next, Article 20, if I skip something,
No.
good. That's basically, it is what it is.
How many streetlights do we have in town?
Quite a few.
I'm gonna guess
Acting
10.
corner.
10?
Up here is 2,
It's 10.
Yeah.
10.
I think so.
I thought.
Okay.
Firehouse is probably 3, school.
No, the school's not part of it.
No?
The wages for the road commissioners, rates of pay and all that stuff. We have increased this every year, again and again and again. And one of the reasons this year that came out, which made no sense to me, they added 5% to what the businesses were paying their employees to cover a 5% raise for that. And that just made no sense to me. Whether it's a town's business, what somebody's paying their employees. So they added 5% to the laborer, which, like I said, just makes no sense. What do we care what they're paying their laborers? Which also reflected in all the rates of the equipment, because the labor/operator, that 5% on the wage part of it was added to it, so it increased the rates for all the equipment.
Well, aren't we in turn paying for their laborers? Roundabout?
Roundabout, yeah.
We're paying with the labor and the machine, yeah, it's one.
Right, so we're giving them a raise.
Yeah.
We're giving people who don't work for us a raise.
don't work for us,
No, they don't work for
They don't
us.
work for us.
No, they work for the road commissioners.
Only
who
the
work
road
for us.
No, they don't, no, they do not work for the road commissioners. Their businesses work for the road commissioners.
They're subbed out by the road commissioners, right?
So the laborers are a separate company working for the road commissioners that work,
Right,
are employees of the town.
right. It's like if I hired, Billy Plant to do something,
Yeah,
and he was gonna do for so much an hour. And for me to say, well, geez, I don't really think that's right. You need to pay your employee a little more money, so I'll give you another $1 an hour so that you can give your employee a raise. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Because,
And you don't necessarily, they're not necessarily passing that along to their
Yeah.
employee. So we don't know what they're
We don't
doing.
know what
I
they're
mean,
doing. It's
if,
none of our
um,
business.
exactly.
I guess that's the whole thing. It's
if
just
you-
none of our business. If they want to pay the employee $25 an hour and get $50 an hour for the equipment for a total of 75, or if they want to pay their employees $30 an hour and $45 for the equipment, how
Yeah.
they do their,
so we just don't need them to spell it out for us.
yeah. And so I don't think we ought to be in the business of adding 5% onto their labor wages, because we don't pay them that way.
The labor with no equipment gets $25 an hour. So I hire somebody to do the job, and I'm only gonna pay him $20 an hour, because that's what I think he's worth. But I'm getting paid 25.
Called overhead.
When they changed these rates 2 years ago, they made it the actual cost of an employee. They figured in unemployment, Social Security, any other thing that we're mandated to pay. So if you were paying $22 an hour and it costs $8 an hour for benefits,
You got,
we'd set the rate at $30 for that employee. You know, whatever the combination of whatever it was. And we didn't do it, the selectmen did it. And last year, if you remember, we had the conversation about the increase. And I said, geez, we just changed the increase on the equipment, and now by whatever the dollar amount was. And Michelle said that the reason for the increase was nothing to do with the equipment. It was to do with the people. So we increased it by, I forget, $4 or $5 an hour last year. I forget. So then this year, they're coming in again with new prices. And none of it makes any sense to me. Every year, it's a considerable increase in these rates.
Is it, so do they not have any employees themselves?
No. Just their businesses do. The road commissioners themselves, what they do is, it's no different. Say Will Langley, he contracts his work out to, was it Once Again Farms?
yeah,
Is that the name of his business?
yeah, once again.
Or he contracts out to F.R. Carroll for paving, or somebody else. He's the one that just generates that, and he gets paid his road commissioner
Just a
wage.
general contractor, basically, like if you're building a house.
So for his regular daily road maintenance and trimming back bushes, he doesn't have anybody that works for him?
No. All, the only employees we have is just the 2 road commissioners. For years and years and years, it was just like that, Margarita. They were all town employees. And
Yeah.
2 or 3 years ago, I forget, it's when Joe was still,
I think that was 3 years ago,
yeah,
it changed.
the selectmen changed it to no more employees.
Yeah, that's why the town doesn't have to insure any of them.
Right.
The town doesn't do any drug testing anymore. that's up to
The commissioner.
commissioners to do,
Or, no,
or the business
that's
owners,
the businesses to
the
do.
businesses to do,
Which is basically the commissioner.
which is basically the commissioner.
Well, I always look at it that they're contracting out of business.
Yeah, but.
They
you know,
don't, a road commissioner isn't serving the town as a business owner.
Yeah, we're playing with
I agree, but it's two
words
different
here.
things.
It is a different
I
thing.
agree with you, I agree with
I
you.
They
agree with
contract
that.
out all their work,
Yeah,
In the end, that's basically how it works.
yeah.
because the town owns nothing to do their work with.
So what was the point of your original
statement?
statement, Dennis?
Yeah,
I had an
Yeah,
original
D6.
statement, Phil, what was that?
You gotta see
Well,
the
we're
D6.
talking about these
Tell me what
increases
you
every
think.
year, so I mean, what,
That it's going up every year quite a bit, and
right?
I don't see the rationale for it.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? They talk about, oh, fuel is $6 a gallon. Well, it's not $6 a gallon now. It was never hit 6,
Short period of time.
but it got close, but now fuel prices are down. And that's why we have the fuel clause.
Right.
And one of the reasons they gave for increasing these rates was because of what they're paying for fuel. Well, we have a fuel clause that allows for that, so if they don't lose any money according to the fuel. Then they said, well, we ought to go to state rates. They're a lot higher than this. Well, last year when I said something about state rates, we're not gonna work for that, the state rate's way too low.
Right, that's what I.
Well, the state revisited their rates. Many towns, including our neighboring town of Shapley, do just like we used to for years and years and years. We played state rate plus 15%. And Shapley never stopped doing it. And about 10 years ago, we stopped doing it. And I'm just saying, all this stuff here is based on opinion, not facts. Okay? It's all based on somebody's opinion.
It's subjective,
Exactly,
absolutely. Okay.
and on the honor system.
right.
Yeah, I can tell you in, these are the warrants.
Road commissioner.
We paid a laborer with no equipment, $18 an hour, not 25. The next one down, the backhoe W-2 was 71,
So it went up,
81.
so
Not
it
se-
went up $6.
That went up $6. Everybody has gone up $6, what it looks like.
And that's the cost of the equipment, the fuel, and the operator, those prices. Those prices
Well, it
include the
depends.
operator.
On
Right.
the back, yeah, yeah. So they've gone up, $6. That's just in.
I'm saying, last year they went up
21,
$5.
And last year they went up
What
5.
kind of percentage is that? That's what I'm curious.
Well, this
I think you'd have to average it out,
$6
Phil.
up on 70, on 70.
We'll let Charlie do the math on that one.
What is that, about 7% increase?
Yeah, about that.
And inflation right now is what, 4 point
4%.
something? You know, when you do this stuff, it's like, oh God, like me, inflation's 9% or whatever. Well, it was, but now it's not. And it wasn't before.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's constantly fluctuating, it's a moving target. And what you're trying to do here is you're trying to set up a budget for your better than average expected cost, so that you're not scrambling halfway through the year or towards the end of the year. I mean, a lot of these are WAGs based on past history. I don't know as there's any other way for them to do that. I don't know as all these dollar amounts are best cost, but, I mean, I understand what they're trying to do.
I have some questions on the summary report. I mean, if you look at District Red 1 road maintenance, you've got culverts, nothing was budgeted, but he spent almost $77,000. 7,700, I'm sorry, excuse me, I misspoke. Flaggers, it was budgeted 7,000, spent nothing. Roadside mow, budgeted 4,000, nothing spent. Brush and stump, budgeted 4,000, he spent 434. Looking at District 2 road maintenance, materials under 503 supplies, budgeted 12,000, nothing was spent. Roadside mow again, 4,360 was spent. So I guess I'm wondering how these amounts, these budget amounts are being calculated and why, because this makes no sense to me.
No, it doesn't add up.
Doesn't add up.
No.
It's more than a swag, I know that.
Yeah. Yeah, the other night at home, I just went through these, and I only went through a couple pages, and I pulled out almost $200,000. Discount of money that was just sitting there, realizing we still have, 4 weeks, 6 weeks to go. But unless there's something catastrophic, I don't understand how so much money could be eaten up. I mean, I could be dead on wrong, but it just seems like there's an awful lot of fat in places.
How many years has that happened?
Oh, well, we're sitting pretty right now. We're sitting very pretty right now.
Well, the thing is,
Have to come from
if
somewhere.
you put it all together, and this is the curse of letting them carry money over, for example, when you get into the paving, District 1, we appropriated $200,000 last year, okay? They rolled over 128,294. Okay, that's over 50% of what they asked for. So they've done whatever, 286, and they still got $40,000 in there. They're not gonna do any more paving this year. It's just not happening. So I guess what it boils down to for me is, they're asking for money, we give it to them, because they say what they need to do for work, and then they don't do the work. And that's part of the reason why a year ago, we had a $900,000
Surplus.
excess of money. And forgetting about all the money we got, our responsibility to the people is to make sure that doesn't happen again. And if the road commissioners or anybody else, if it's the land use department, isn't gonna do what they ask the townspeople for, then we shouldn't be giving them the money. I got no issue with giving them the money. It is what it is. Now, now we're on District 2, I'm gonna go to Peck Road. In his, paperwork, he's got, I think, 170,000 or something like that for Peck Road. Well, that's fine. Peck Road washed out last week because of clogged culverts. He's over there working now. I don't know what he's doing. Nobody here to ask. But say him fixing whatever issues he has to fix on Peck Road, say if he replaces 5 culverts, so we don't have this issue again this year. Well, he asked for money to replace 11 culverts, so that's 6 culverts now we don't need to replace coming year, because we just replaced them. So you're really not gonna need the 170,000, because You already spent 30,000 out of this year, or whatever the dollar amount is, we have no idea. So why would we still give them that same amount for the Peck Road? It doesn't make any sense. It just makes no sense to me.
I agree with you, and this goes back to the point that Leslie brought up about having all of this in comma-separated values, so you can drop into a spreadsheet, you can trend all of this, you can see actually, what's going on. I think that's probably the greatest idea I've heard since I came to this table.
And if you look at Article 26, which talks about Peck Road Reserve.
Right.
They wanted him to keep that money until June 30th of 2025.
2 years.
2 years.
See that?
If you're not gonna do it next year, why are we giving you the money?
What is he
See, I agree
asking
with
for?
that. Unless it's gonna be a really expensive item, and you don't wanna have sticker shock in 2 years.
To reconstruct.
And I don't know what the Peck Road is, I don't know what needs to be done, so I really can't speak intelligently on it. But,
The proposal, Charlie, is to
You can read Article
replace the
26.
culverts and resurface the road.
Man, memory serves me correct, he had to take in larger equipment that wasn't supposed to be on that road to clear off what was there, and therefore it tore up the road.
But that had nothing to do with the road washing out.
Right. But I
And this
mean,
is only a portion of Peck Road.
No, that's right to the end of the tar.
Right to the end of the tar.
It goes up around the corner.
From Milton Mills Road to the dirt.
It goes up around the corner, then it changes to
the
dirt.
Okay.
what does
It
that
What does
mean?
to the dirt mean? That's
Is that around, the
Okay.
dirt around the corner?
Yeah, and it goes to Sue
The
Sorrow's
goats are-
place. And
that
yeah,
goes
The
to,
goats.
And that
Yeah, I
any
know.
funds remaining after the completion of the repair, no later than June 30th, 25, will be returned.
But that's giving him 2 years to
2
do
years to
it.
do the job.
Yeah.
The project.
and
That
we're
doesn't make
looking
any sense.
at
They're just
a budget for
resurfacing.
next year, or for the coming year.
I don't like it.
So
Then we don't
it's a
know.
matter of planning, Margarita. I mean, he knows it needs to be done. Why wait until 2020,
2024.
24 to do it?
If you can't do it till then,
now.
then ask for it
Can't do,
then.
yeah.
The other thing is, this warrant should say how many feet, not from Milton Mills to the dirt. To the dirt doesn't say anything.
We got,
I want to know.
can we
how
do
many-
that data now, Charlie?
Yeah, we can do
Know how
that.
long or something is?
I want number of feet.
It's actually goat turn.
The other thing that's very interesting about this road, which I don't understand, if we're gonna fix the whole road, when you go up and you go around the road forks, it goes to the right, up, which is now where Sue's Sovereigns live.
Yeah.
And it goes to the left, and that's the top part of Huzzy Hill, which is still a town road.
Is it really?
And down to what is now Russ Wiles' house. Because when they closed Huzzy Hill, there was somebody living there then, and there was nobody living on the whole lower end. So they closed it from that property down.
Closed it as in.
Discontinued it, I'm sorry, Charlie. They discontinued it from that house down. And,
And this was voted on by the town?
yes. And the reason why they stopped at that house was because somebody was living there at the time. And obviously, somebody's living on it. And the town's done no work on that part of the road for, since David Winter got elected road commissioner. Until then, it was plowed and graded and stuff every year. I don't understand why you're not doing that section of road. If you're redoing the Peck Road, why don't you do the 1/8 of a mile on Huzzy Hill and be done in there forever? And if you remember, not forever, but you remember that was one of our conversations about when you're doing the project, finish it. And it doesn't make any sense just for that little piece, not to spend the money and get out of there.
Once again, I want to know how many feet.
Okay. Can I just,
This is too ambiguous.
it is, can I just pull us back somehow? I don't know how this committee ever did it, but we got off the
Yeah.
topic. Back on Article 21, I've noticed Charlie and I both have a circle under equipment with operator. There was nothing there.
No, because all of these charges here are the equipment plus operator cost.
Yeah?
That's what the town is billed at. And then the labor with no equipment is the 25.
Okay, all right,
And that's how all our road money is spent, is
okay.
at those rates.
You know,
Just
when the commissioner's driving around,
That's come up,
the rate is 60, but you subtract the commissioner's rate, which is a 31
right.
and
30.
change. So, I mean, if the commissioner's operating in his equipment, you deduct the 3371. If the commission, if he's got somebody else operating this, then this is what the town
Then
gets
that's-
charged.
okay.
That's my understanding of this. This
Yeah,
is
33.
confusing as all get out.
I think you're right, Charlie.
Yeah, because how do you,
I mean, the only
when
two
one of
items
these
that
guys
aren't,
jumps on a machine for 5 minutes,
then he gets charged for 5 minutes at
I
whatever
mean-
this rate is.
really? You know,
I don't know what the fractional rate is. or
yeah,
whether
I
they
mean, I
charge
don't
by
know
the
if
full
they're-
hour. I don't know.
It's just kind of, I don't know, very,
We're getting into the weeds on
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
we are.
Too much.
Okay.
Yeah. I hate to interrupt, but I have to leave.
Okay, I agree to, well, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Of course.
And
And remember, we're always on video.
Always on what?
We're always on video, so.
yes,
There's a smile. You gonna smile?
Yes.
Before you go, Margarita.
Yes.
I would just like to do this, go back to, us making our recommendations. I would like to have, we can do it right now while you're here, input on how we're gonna make our recommendations,
Whether or
or
not you want to have another meeting?
in the time frame. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, I see. In addition to next Monday's meeting?
Yes, but there's two things here that we have to take in consideration. One, are we gonna have the answers to our questions?
That's a good question.
What that time frame would be, so, I mean, right now, we have a meeting scheduled for next Monday.
Yeah.
And like I said, the selectmen, to have town meeting when they want to, is gonna have
There
to
was
sign
an
them.
email already sent out asking for the changes, the zoning changes, so they're already working on getting those answers. So
Okay,
that's one piece of it.
so I don't know, Tom asked me the other night if this worked, and I said, I don't know, I asked the committee, I mean, it's not my, all I know is we need to make recommendations, and I don't feel, I want to be able to make my recommendation on factual data and not what I have.
Now, we know, Leslie, you said you can't do Tuesday, right?
I can't do Tuesday. No, I looked at the schedule online, and capital improvement has a meeting at 5 on the 22nd, and that's it. I don't know if
We
Joyce
need to do
would
this before the
is a Sunday.
17th.
Yeah, but
no, May 22nd.
that puts us
Oh, the
past the
22nd,
time.
Monday, yep.
When
We
do,
need to have it done before the 17th.
Yeah,
Correct.
Well, then
Oh,
that only
okay.
leaves Tuesday.
So that could, no, well, that could be this Thursday or Friday.
Right.
In addition, before
Right, so-
we vote on Monday.
Yeah, but if we don't have the answer.
Yeah, but-
if we don't have the answers,
Well,
then,
it's scheduling it, hoping that we have the answers. If we don't, then we don't
Yeah,
do
we
it.
hope
But we
we'll-
can at
yeah.
least schedule it.
I would propose a tentative of the 12th,
what day is the
That way
12th?
it gives us more
Friday.
time.
a Friday.
Friday.
It gives you some time to digest all of this, and if Tom is able to get us answers from the board on Wednesday, that would be Thursday, he'd have answers.
but what do we do about the 7-day notice if the town
Yeah,
requires?
we can't, and I can't do Fridays either.
Right,
The only days I can actually is Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Well, then,
Wednesday's out
Yeah, because of the selectmen
because of
meeting.
selectmen's meeting.
so this crunch is not of our making. This is of the
Right.
Board of Selectmen and all the other
And we can only control what we can
rigmaroles, and
control.
we can only control us. If we have to have
Correct.
the 7-day notice and there's no way to fit that in,
Then you can't.
then we're left with either a thumb up or thumb down as it is, and if we don't have answers, it's
Correct.
thumbs down.
There you
And,
go.
and that,
It's
that
real
is,
easy.
that is my
that idea.
feeling, is that if we've asked for these answers, the selectmen set the schedule. If they didn't follow their schedule, then that has nothing to do with us.
Right.
We've been available
has happened
here.
in
So you
past,
vote with the
Charlie.
information you have.
So if
Charlie.
I don't have the answers I want, then my vote is going to be no.
There you go.
Correct, yep.
Because you're voting on how that's worded verbatim in here right at the time, so.
So no additional meeting then?
It seems as though we wouldn't be able to fit the time frame.
Right.
No.
Well, I think, I'll play devil's advocate. I think if Tom is our liaison, and I said, look, we are, in a bind, and this is an emergency, we need an emergency meeting. And tell them when it's gonna be.
It's not an emergency.
No,
Well-
it's,
Well,
I know, I'm playing devil's advocate here. And
Yeah,
I think we could probably get a meeting. But my absolute feeling is this, if I don't know what I'm voting no.
Right. Which, yeah, we've said that, so.
Yeah, I mean, but,
Do you feel,
Playing the devil's
everybody
advocate.
feel that, and like I said, I told Tom, this is all up to the committee. So is the committee saying that we have our scheduled meeting for next Monday? Hopefully, we'll have answers to whatever we asked. And if we don't have the answers, we'll still make our recommendations on Monday. And what we don't have the information on, then we'll more than likely vote no.
chips will fall where they may.
correct.
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, the onus can't be put on us, by us.
no.
You control what you can control. There's no need to walk over fire. We make our recommendations with the information we have.
And put that to the people, that's why we made the recommendation.
Correct, that's all you can do. That's
That's
all you can
it.
do.
Said the only other solution is to postpone town meeting.
Yeah. Well,
But I
this
think
is
that's-
that's what's happened in years past. Is everything gets all crammed in the end and nobody knows anything and you vote
This happens every year.
every year.
Every year we have this problem, and I don't feel that we should participate in a rush decision.
Right. We're spending a lot of money, a lot of money.
I'm fine with it, however the committee wants to do it.
Straw poll, please.
Here.
Yeah.
Straw poll.
So the people,
If we have the information, great. If we don't have the information, great.
and we'll vote accordingly,
We vote next Monday.
okay?
You
It
vote
is-
how your heart tells you to vote,
All right.
based on the info you got.
Yeah, because there's a lot of serious questions here and some
Yeah.
big figures that
Because
don't.
we are gonna have a lot of
Well,
work
it's
at
not fair
home,
that they didn't do their job.
Yeah, we need time.
you know.
We need time to
Because-
do our due diligence and do the right thing for the people of the town who elected
That's
us.
why we're here.
That's it.
Because whether I'm voting yes or no, I'm still gonna be looking at these back and forth, and I'm probably gonna be looking at past town warrants
Yeah.
as well. You know, those are all online. And
Well, I thank you, Margarita, for waiting around for a few minutes. I didn't want to make this,
No, sorry for
This
being
is-
rude
remember,
and leaving
smile.
early.
you're not being rude, I just didn't want to make this
Margarita,
decision
big
without your
smile.
input.
Huh?
Smile.
smile for the camera.
Smile?
Oh, yeah. Too late, you just did.
You just did, that's it.
So this is by consensus.
Thank you, Margarita, very
You're
much.
welcome.
And we'll see you next Monday. Okay, moving on. The other thing that, do with the roads, is the selectmen decided to combine the winter maintenance for snow removal in with the stockpile,
Why'd they do that?
and plus,
Article 24.
plus they added the 20,000 apiece, or 20,000 combination into the winter maintenance, because they overspend it every year. Does anybody remember that conversation?
Vaguely, yeah. I mean, if they're under budgeting every year, and having to go to a special town meeting, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, we're obviously not appropriating enough. And the roads have to be safe during the winter.
Right.
No, I understand that, and I've got no issue with that, budgeting properly. My issue is adding the stockpile budget into the winter maintenance budget.
I don't understand the concern on that, so can you explain that?
Yeah.
Okay, where
The
are we?
last 2 years, after winter was all over, they bought a bunch of salt out of that account because they didn't need all the money. Well, if you don't need it this year, why spend it? Well, work towards next year. How do we know the price isn't gonna be cheaper next year? We have no idea. It's like everything else.
Okay.
And I assume that they're all done with using material down at the stockpile, and we've only spent 72% of it. So if you take and you add on what the actual is, estimate, if you went for the last 3 years on plowing and sanding the roads, and I'm fine with that and adding a little cushion, but another $40,000, according to our information we have right now, that's really an $80,000 cushion. That makes no sense to me. And then, Public Works Building, the only thing I'm gonna say about that, in my opinion, is one of the things they wanted this, $11,000 for, I think it was. One of the biggest ticket items.
You're jumping
Where's the
around.
11,000?
No.
25.
2138 right here.
Yeah,
Yeah. Page, whatever it is,
yeah,
6.
2138,
Are you looking at the expense report,
yeah.
or are you looking at the warrant?
The
Expense report.
expenses history.
Your warrant is 21.
But my point is, they're talking $7,000 to put electricity in a storage building.
What are they gonna do?
That
with it?
makes no sense to
What do they
me
need the
whatsoever.
electricity for?
They have electricity in the sand shed. So if they need electricity to, for whatever, they got electricity.
They leave the loaders in the sand shed, right?
Yeah,
So they could leave a heater block or whatever, right?
yeah.
What article was that, Dennis?
25, I think.
25 is,
Oh, right there, isn't it? Yeah, thank you.
So it's to 21,000 again this year.
But again, they're not telling us what they want that for.
And the last year, it was that much because we had to put the roof on.
wasn't the roof 11,000 or 10,000?
Yes.
Something like that?
Who actually comes up with these
And
warrants?
so they left the dollar amount the same, and we was presented a dollar amount of 11,000 before. Because if you remember, I said, why are we budgeting for the roof again?
Building, repair, and maintenance, 11,000. On the expense report, 50520. The bottom of page 6. And they actually spent 14,000.
And I think that was for the roof, Charlie. I mean, what the hell are you doing down there, excuse my English, for $21,000? It doesn't make any sense. They said there was trees that needed to be cut. I went down there and looked.
Tidied up is what it needs.
You don't need to hire a tree company
You
to
gotta
come in
just-
and
you
cut a
have to-
4-inch tree.
You have to decide what to do with that bulldozer. It's leaking
Well, that's fine, Joe.
oil. It's a
That's
hazard,
fine.
okay?
But it's got nothing to do with,
And it's in that building.
unless we pay somebody to get rid of it, it's got nothing to do with this 21,000.
But they say that's for electricity? To put-
7,000 was to put electricity in
All
that.
right, and that's in that 21,000?
It's in that plan that Adam gave us.
Okay,
Still leaves $6,000, 16,000.
that leaves $16,000, though.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't have my binder with me, I apologize, so I can't speak to what they had proposed in their budget. If someone has it, and they could flip back to when the commissioners were here and they presented what they wanted.
And this is the problem with
I think it was in February.
Yeah,
February or March. Well, end of February, beginning of March sometime.
yes, District 2. And then they had to have the other one because some of this was done like this.
wells again. A bunch of wells. This is too. That's under that. So I remember asking what they're gonna do with the money.
Do you have these two? Dennis,
Yeah.
do you have, yeah, you've got those.
And we got the paperwork later. Adam answered those questions. And I have no idea what I do with it. I'm just saying that he said that they need to pressure wash the walls and repaint the lines.
Repaint what lines?
On the sand shed, there's a yellow line that tells you how full you can put your sand.
So $100 for paint.
And,
Stop it.
well, they only have a quarter fill the building anyway, because it's way too big. So they don't really fill it. Pressure wash the floor,
Is the floor concrete?
yeah, I think so.
Inside the
Tar.
building.
I don't remember, Joe, tar, I think it's pavement,
So where's all that water go?
into the ground.
And then where?
What's that?
Then where? It's got a lot of salt in it, doesn't it?
Oh, down to the school,
Down, it goes filtered through the school and then down what, Moon Pond?
yeah,
And then from there, what, down to Mousen?
yeah.
Why is there pressure,
And, you know, the water table
what
down
about,
there
what
is pretty
about,
high.
what about using a push broom and a shovel?
I don't know, Joe.
Well, wouldn't that, years ago, wouldn't that be what you do?
That's what I had to do.
Oh, right, push broom. But what are you picking up, salt, sand, what are you cleaning off there?
I was through salt residue.
Because whenever I go down there, I usually go outside where they load the trucks, it was a few years back, and I used that salt, the salt was the big piles there, as it was a shame to waste it. And that's what I used, if I took salt and sand right there.
So we're gonna move on from that.
Yeah, because in their proposals that they came to us for first time, January 12th, there's not even any mention of the shed or meeting electricity. That came along
afterwards.
afterwards. Because there's not one in District 1 or District 2. I have their original.
And we asked those questions, why they need that much money, and that was,
And-
we got a response. I remember
And
that.
we did get a
I
response.
just don't have it.
So you have to check through, actually check through your emails.
So that's my issue with that one.
Moving on.
And the transfer station, that's basically what it was last year with a 5% pay increase for the staff. Article 28, 60,000 for the engineer. We have no idea what the plan is for the transfer station until we have a plan, a real plan.
Well, that's what this article is for, is to develop a plan, correct?
Yeah, not for
Yeah.
$60,000.
To hire the engineer,
Hire the
Charlie.
engineer to assess.
The engineer already met with 2 people, and now he's supposed to come up with a plan.
Have you already paid him the money?
No, this is
no.
what this $60,000 is for.
I think there's enough qualified people in this town. If we all sat down in this room with a blackboard and got a list of stuff, ideas, like Gary Rideout, he had some really good ideas, and sit down with Robin and went over there, we could get $60,000 worth of ideas.
I agree with you,
pretty
Joe, but we need to figure out what is the needs of the town. Forget about what I think, okay? Just forget all about it.
quick. The needs of the
The
town.
needs of the town, and there has to be some people that sit down together and come up with this.
Exactly.
And
I
then
think it can
you
be
give
done.
the engineer,
I think it
say,
can be
these are the needs, draw up a plan. This is what we want to accomplish. That's good for the next 20 or 25 years.
Isn't that included in one of those
It is.
proposals?
Let me look.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's there.
but it's,
I
Yep,
have to bring a tablet when I come here.
that's why I bring mine.
I can't bring it.
it's to do elevation, Charlie, and a turnaround, and
No, I understand what he wants to do.
and to put
'Cause I
another
met with him,
driveway in.
and he
What
gave me a
would,
verbal-
what would Jordan King do? What would he do? huh?
No.
Do you want me to,
He built the entrance, I remember Ed Hammond was there.
do you want me,
You
to?
know,
All right.
This is
Let Leslie
ridiculous.
tell
Oh, hold
you.
on, I'm gonna read the proposal.
Spend 60
This letter presents Sebago Technic scope of services and fee proposal for survey and engineering services to prepare construction and bid documents for circulation improvements at the town's transfer station. The goal of the project is to improve circulation during summer busy times and reduce traffic backup on H Road. And then they show a big picture. Then they talk about the project understanding with the traffic congestion and permitting. Sebago will prepare site plans and details to depict proposed site improvements in coordination with the town of Acton. We assume that land use permitting through the state of Maine DEP will not be needed. Because the project will create less than 1 acre of additional site disturbance. That's why they don't need DEP. Additionally, we assume that the existing site is not under the jurisdiction of an existing Maine DEP Stormwater Management Law or Site Location of Development Act permit order. Therefore, amendments to these types of permits will not be required. A state of Maine notice of intent to comply with the construction general permit will be required if the redevelopment footprint is greater than 1 acre. An amendment to the facilities Maine DEP solid waste permit will be required for site design changes. At this time, we assume the site improvements will not substantially alter the nature of activity to an extent that would require the department to modify findings with respect to licensing criteria. And then it goes into scope and schematic of designs.
What is this?
This is 8 pages, so I'm not gonna read it all.
But the scope of work is basically is to put another entrance in. And when you go in past the recycling building, to have everybody turn around and go back out the other way.
Yeah, go out the back, a wider.
Yeah, so you have two people, lines of traffic going in, one going out.
I do have the fee amount, the fee structure, if anyone wants to hear that.
Just an overview.
Go ahead.
Okay, the survey services are 4,000, the schematic design is 5,750. Design and construction documents are 28,500. Bidding services are 4,500. And reimbursable expenses, which they're estimated 3% of the budget, is $1,282 for a total of $44,000. Additional services, local permit application is $5,400. And Maine DEP solid waste amendment allowance is $6,500. Project total is $55,932.
The local permits, is that Acton municipal, because we're exempt, we don't pay permits in the town.
You're right,
The
Charlie.
town doesn't.
You're right.
By ordinance, we're exempt.
Right.
We have to follow the ordinance, but we do not pay any of the permitting fees.
Then again, I go
They
back
do it to the state, though.
there is no plan.
Right, but that's what they have to try to develop.
No, the people have to, Charlie. They have to do, to me, what has to happen is the people come up with what they want. Then you hand it to the engineer and say, this is what we want for the town of Acton. Now you develop our plan to accomplish it.
Well, I'm gonna
That's what the
assume,
scope of work is.
You see, they were in,
I'm gonna assume, and I don't like using that word, but I'm gonna assume that Robin, as the superintendent, has come to the Board of Selectmen and expressed what the needs are for the facility.
immediate needs, yeah. Yeah, he's done a good
And so
job.
you have a baseline need, that is the people. I think it's wise to go and have an engineering.
I think it is too, but at the same time, in that thing that she wrote, or message, read,
The proposal?
the proposal, it didn't mention anything about creating storage area or spaces. All it addressed was the traffic going in and out, whatever. And part of that problem up there is storage of containers.
That would be Article 29.
Yeah.
Well, I got a question about that when we get to that. We're still not there.
I just don't feel we ought to be moving forward with this until one person coming up with this.
Oh, no, not that, no, I'm talking
It
about.
just doesn't make any sense to me.
And what if we spend
Piece of
this,
land, backing up a dumpster, dropping it, and then pile them all up and having them there. Having room, they need room to put all those.
And what if
I think
we
that's the whole issue
No.
about circulation. If an engineering firm comes in and they're gonna do a site evaluation, what your
Yeah.
existing is,
Yeah.
and this is what your needs are, they're gonna try to go and map it out to where they can fit all of your needs in there.
We're gonna talk about 10 years from now. I'm talking about when you come in the front, and you got that iron thing there. To the right, you have all that land that goes up, as ledge and rocks. It goes up to the
Well,
corner.
hopefully, the engineering firm will determine whether or not that is all ledge, or whether they're gonna have to blast
There's
it.
only one way you can tell if it's all
Right,
ledge, all
I
right?
realize that,
They're
but-
gonna determine shit, that's all. You gotta go in and
It's
take it
gonna be
out.
expensive to do what they wanna do.
and if we spend $60,000, what if they come back with a plan that the town feels is unworkable? We've just blown $60,000.
Exactly.
Well-
Because we don't know what we really want.
I
Well-
talked to Robin after a meeting. I said, Robin, it seems to me that everything that's in this plan is what Robin had talked about. Better entrance, better turnaround, all these things. And let's face it, it is what the citizens have talked about, how it's a dangerous situation up there, going in and out of the dump, of the transfer station. Transfer station. And it's a lot of things. I said, so you walk this, he didn't tell me who he was with an engineer. And the engineer gave them what they asked for, exactly. And I think Robin was very clear about what he needed. And the next one is in, the storage is in a next article, a couple down. But I asked Robin, I said, so you're gonna spend, and I said to him, 55,000. And I understand the rounding it up, because people are notorious for underestimating things just to get your business. But I said, what's it gonna cost to do that? And he said, I said, supposing you get this money and the engineers, who are the experts, quote unquote, you spend the 55,000, what's it gonna cost to do the project? Now you got the money, so are we gonna wait another year? Because you have no money to do the project. So we're gonna have a special town meeting to put the money for the project?
You'll
Or
have-
or are you gonna wait a year? I agree with you, we'll have to have a special town meeting. I said, did anybody throw any numbers out? He said, oh, about 150.
No, it's gonna be a hell of a lot more
And it's gonna
than
be a
that.
hell of a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Using his 55,000 and 150,000, it's like, nobody knows.
so when we're looking at this amount of money, I mean, if Robin knows what he wants, how about like a rough diagram of what he wants?
That,
To
according
justify
to-
what they're spending this kind of
That's what
money.
you're gonna get. That's why everybody is hot to hire an expert engineer, quote unquote. They're relying on that.
Nobody's even looked at the fact of having it one-way traffic like it used to be. You just drive in one gate and you go out the other. Nobody's ever facing each other. Nobody's ever, and the only reason why it's not even looked at, honestly, is because Dennis Long's the one that said it 2 years ago.
No.
Well,
Why don't we fix the road that goes out down the bottom?
because the old road that went out down the bottom is now where the landfill is capped. We are not permitted to do any work within 100
I
feet of
appreciate that, Charlie, but that road is not on what was capped.
Well, I looked at the maps, I just got a copy from DEP on the survey that was done on that landfill, and gave it to Jennifer, and she was supposed to send a copy to the CEO and also to Robin. And based on what I looked at from the old maps downstairs and that current survey for that landfill, the road is where the landfill is.
We
That
put,
road used to go through it almost.
the road was put in before we capped it.
Correct. But the cap now covers where that road was.
Then you go farther south.
I agree with you. But I've been told by other people that the landfill goes all the way around there, and that's not what the drawings show.
It absolutely does not.
Right, I understand that, but I am not gonna go and micromanage somebody else who's supposed to be in charge of that.
Neither am I, Charlie, but I'm also not gonna spend $200,000 or $300,000 on something, based on misinformation.
Well,
I'm not. I mean, I was one of the people that hauled the gravel for that lower
I
road.
understand.
Okay?
You've told me that already.
I know where it is.
Yep,
And it was put in, there was one reason that was put in all these years ago, was because it was a safety issue, everybody going in and out the dump. So they put it in the road and that solved it. And they stopped maintaining it, they decided not to use it in the winter because the traffic at the transfer station obviously wasn't that big in the wintertime. And then as things went on, they just stopped maintaining it. They just stopped.
so that's quite a change in grade. That was used on a regular basis?
Yes. All the time. And really, the grade isn't any different, Charlie, if you're here and you're going down the H road, or if you're here and going out to the H road.
Oh, no, I.
The elevation's the same.
I agree that the change in height and change in elevation is the same. But I think it's a difference driving on asphalt versus driving on some mud and dirt and gravel.
Pave it. What's the expense gonna be putting another entrance in?
I don't know yet.
I don't either. That's why I'd say we need a plan.
Is it even feasible? I mean, the engineer, you spend 60,000 and he's gonna you're asking, you tell them your wants and needs, right?
Yeah.
He comes back with recommendations on the possibility to achieve it. That has nothing to do with the feasibility of it.
I mean, maybe what I'm
Then
saying,
And that's
I would
where it could be
suggest-
$400,000 to do it.
It will be, yeah.
Well, so that what you do is there should, I don't know, I haven't read the document, but you should have some intermediate stage in there to where they go and they draft up what they think, give you an approximation of what this, before they move forward with, project specifications, what was it, $28,000 or something? Before you even get to that stage, they should come back to the town and say, okay, this is what we're looking at. Do you want us to move forward with the rest of it? I don't know how the document's worded, so I can't speak to it.
I mean, what I'm saying might not even be feasible.
Right, and that's what
I
it
don't
comes
know, I'm
down to.
not-
And that's the reason why, you go have them go in there, go and do an intermediate design, a preliminary design, figure out what you're looking at, what do they think this is gonna cost? Come back to the town and say, okay, this is what we're looking at. Do you want to see them move forward with construction design, drawings and also the specifications?
Right, because there's
which is
a
what's in
number
there.
of reasons it may not be feasible. Just because they say, here's some recommendations, doesn't mean anything on its own.
Well, we know that.
No, but it's more of a educated guess, so to speak.
We
So-
know, one of the things, what you're saying, and Leslie, I think you agree with me on this, the West Shore Bridge project, the culvert, the company Ranson, that is how it was set up. Ranson came in, they said A, B, C, D, stop. Do you want us to go on? Yes. EFG, stop. And all the way through until it was finally approved or whatever,
Yeah.
that the project was going to go through. But Ranson said all the time, at every minute, we can stop wherever you want us to stop.
That's what you're saying, Charlie.
And
Constructability reviews, I mean, you want to see whether, is this something that you even want to move forward on after you see what the total cost is going to be or what the expected cost might be?
Yeah.
So, until, I know I can't really say much about that proposal until I actually read it, but
Right.
it would be wise if there was some breakpoints to where they come back to the town and say, okay, this is what we're looking at. Do you want us to move forward before we go and come up with all these plans? Because that's where your biggest cost is developing the plans and
Oh, yeah.
the drawings.
all right, can we ask that?
That's not in our purview. No,
Before the money is appropriated, can we ask that?
Well, we can
Spent
amend the
in
article
stages.
and say this is how it has to be.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
We can't amend the article.
Yeah, we can. Warrant, we make recommendations on the warrant.
We can
And
make
the dollar
recommendations, but we can make recommendations, we can't amend the
We
article.
can amend it at town meeting.
We can recommend an amendment
Correct,
on the warrant,
Okay.
correct.
is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we can make recommendations about a change,
Right,
correct.
on the warrant itself.
Yep.
At town
Geez,
meeting.
no, we can do it on the warrant. We give our recommendations on the warrant. And if our recommendation is to amend the article, then that's what our recommendation is.
Okay, but it's not something we are going to ask. As a
No.
question.
I think we're getting into micromanagement then.
We
Well, it's
don't-
not only that, but it's not micromanagement, it's just a matter of the principle of spending and investing town money. And it's like we're, like secondhand, citizens, we're not, we're disregarded. I mean, you look at this whole process, it's if it's your own money,
No, I agree with all of that. I have to have some faith, some faith in the leadership that they will go, in that document, there will be some type of 15% review, 35% review before you move forward. You stop at each point to try to figure out what you want to do, and that they will go and not pull the trigger on the project if it doesn't look like it makes sense.
Right.
Otherwise, if we're gonna start changing the words in these warrants to put in all these different stipulations, A, you're gonna confuse the tar out of the 25 people that show up for the town meeting, which I don't think will take a whole lot.
Well, we're gonna have babysitting this year.
I know I'll get a lot of hate mail
In
on that,
food.
but,
You get email?
I guess, Charlie, I agree with you 100%. What my concern is what's happened in the past. And I realize we have to move on from the past, but there's those things that I don't want to go through it again.
Yeah, we just don't want to keep perpetuating this.
The sand shed's a perfect
Yeah.
example. We appropriated $500,000 for this sand shed because that's what it was gonna cost. They go and they do the project, the selectmen decide to give the excavation part of it to the road commissioners, and the project ended up costing $530,000 or $540,000.
Charlie, the
Because-
best predictor of future behavior is past behavior.
oh, I'm fully aware of that, and it's in the back of my mind, but,
That's just my reservation, Charlie.
I have to give a certain latitude in that there's been a change in the board, and hopefully clearer minds are prevailing. I don't know. Maybe I'm too optimistic.
I'm willing
I
to
just,
support you on that.
I have, yeah, I know.
I am willing to support you on that.
I just knew that, if we go and we put in a whole bunch of restrictions in this, or we change the dollar amount, we're basically trying to micromanage the Board of Selectmen, and I don't think that that is our job.
I
Our
don't think
job
it's-
is to figure out whether or not this makes fiscal sense for the town folk, yay or nay. And if it doesn't, then we just vote no.
And Charlie, you're talking about the time comes, the verbiage in the contract itself being very specific, like when to stop. I mean, that should be in there, obviously.
It should
That
be.
has nothing to do with us now, but
Correct.
that's the only way to control things, is the writing of the contract, which is up
Correct.
to the selectmen, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so, I'll go and I'll read, I downloaded them, I'll go and I'll read what was on the website. And I'll provide you my opinion, a more educated opinion, if you want to call it that, once I'm able to make it. But I don't like the idea of micromanaging the board.
And I'm not trying to do that, Charlie.
No, and I'm not saying that you are, but
It just,
in trying to, nickel and dime an article like this one, the 60K, yeah, it sounds like an awful lot of money, and we haven't seen the plan, but that's the reason why we're gonna go and send it to an engineering firm to try to develop a plan. And then we're out of the loop at that point. It's up to the Board of Selectmen to go and have the wherewithal to ask people what their opinions are, or present it to the town. This is what we have.
There's no other way to start the process, really.
Correct.
Well, I think though, I mean, I'd
Started.
feel a whole lot better about spending $60,000 if I had a kind of a rough draft of what we were looking for. And we don't have that.
Well, you're not spending it. Okay, we're appropriating the monies for this project, for the engineering assessment. In that proposal that you read, it breaks down, there's so much for development, plan development, whatever it was, 14,000 or something?
Something like that.
Right, so at that point, once you have a plan development, you've spent 14K, which sounds fairly reasonable, because you've also done a survey in there and everything. So you go and you have that, come to the town, or I would imagine the engineering firm would come to the town, to the Board of Selectmen, or to the planning board, they should be involved in this, because the site plan is required for this project. Should come to them, and it should be a public opportunity to review the documents and make, opinions, or make input on it, or provide input. And then, let the Board of Selectmen know, yeah, this sounds like it makes sense. Planning board should be involved and say, yeah, this makes sense, and then move forward.
And the contract can be written with stop points based on the funding breakup.
Well, not necessarily
Possibly,
funding, but
possibly.
percentage design, We used to have in the service, it was like a 5% design review. You'd come up with this wild idea, this what, this particular unit wants.
Is that a confession, Charlie?
Yeah, it is. you'd come up with this wild idea of, what this unit wants. You come up with some proposals, you come back to the unit and say, okay, this is based on what you've told us so far. This is what we've come up with. Give them an opportunity to modify it, provide their input, come back, and you'd come back at maybe 15% review, constructability review. Say whether or not they give their blessings, and then you keep on moving on. It would go all the way up, 90, 95, 97, and then it's ready to bid. But there's review processes all along, and the town should be involved in those. Whether or not that's in that document, I don't know.
I think that's what we were saying.
But if it is, it makes sense.
All right, here's something about their fee. We will monitor our progress and budget status on a monthly basis and notify you when our fee charges have reached approximately 75% of our budget and at major milestones. If it appears our project scope or budget will be exceeded due to unforeseen variables encountered, we will notify you as they become apparent and not proceed without your prior authorization.
Does it say what the milestones are?
No.
No.
No, it does not. Additional work as required and authorized by you will be estimated separately and will be performed at the rate specified in the Sebago Technics Engineering Service Contract with the Town of Acton. So no, it just says when it reaches 75% and at major milestones.
Yes,
So
I
it
would
doesn't
want-
define what the
I
milestone
would
is.
want to know what's the definition of major milestones, because that might be what I see as 5%, 15%, 35% review.
It's not percents, but if you read down, they're giving you a timeline.
Okay, so they have a schematic design alternatives at 30%. You have an initial field survey, they've got a stop point. Okay, so they have a stop point at 30%, 60%, 90%, which is when it goes out to bid, and 100% bid documents. That's when it's all complete. So yeah, so they've got a stop point now. It says that they will go and this is their following schedule. It doesn't say that they're coordinating with the town or not, and that.
I think it does up above.
Does it?
I think
Okay.
it does.
If it says so up above, then that sounds reasonable.
All right, Charlie,
I'm sorry.
you changed my mind.
I changed your mind.
Oh, God.
My
No,
God.
Charlie, you haven't changed my mind.
Basically, all we're asking the townspeople, the way the article's written is, do you think it's worth spending $60,000 to fix the problems that are obvious at the transfer station?
Right.
And pretty much, I think everybody might agree, it may be.
Well,
But they still have to come to.
You're asking them to appropriate 60K to do the design work, to
Yeah.
see whether or not that will alleviate all the concerns people have.
Yeah,
Right. It's all based on the obvious problems we can see, and
Right.
should we
Right.
spend the money to try to fix them?
Correct.
I'm just saying, when I came in tonight, I was against it, and now I'll go along with you guys and say it's a good idea. I got no
I have to
idea.
mark this in my calendar.
Yeah, it's going
Oh,
in
no,
our
really,
minutes.
you know,
It's
you-
going in our minutes.
I wanna, we're almost done the whole warrant, but unless somebody sees something else.
Okay, to Article 29.
Okay.
Since we're moving along,
Yeah,
next article.
let's move it.
Because Joyce had a question about this. My question is, what size storage containers? I imagine they're the shipping containers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And does that 10K also include the foundation pads?
No,
Because
I don't
these are
think so.
going in
No.
before all of this design work and construction's going on. So are we just putting this on some railroad dunnage or something? Or are we just gonna let these sink into the mud and rot?
No, we'll sink into the asphalt.
No, I think
there.
Robin had a plan so that wouldn't happen. So I don't know if this is inclusive in the price of that,
I don't think so, no.
but I know that he had talked about putting a base on there so that wouldn't be, one of the issues was one of the containers they have there now is stairs you walk up to. And he basically wanted to go
I
for it
agree.
not to be that high, especially with what they're putting in there. So, like I said, I don't know if if it's included in the price.
Well, see, the only thing this warrant says, and I've learned since last year, read exactly what the warrant says.
Right.
It says just the purchase, not the placement, just the purchase. If it says purchase, I have to look at it as just that.
That's what it is, yeah.
And so my question then is, what size containers are we getting? We getting 20 footers? We getting 40 footers, high cubes, what are we getting?
Joyce will set the question.
I believe that was a 53H.
Sorry, Joyce.
That's okay. This is gonna be fun. You know, starting next Friday, I have to call the York County Judicial Center. I am on jury duty for the next 2 months. I'm going to be doing a lot of sitting around,
So you'll have time.
a lot of I'll have time.
Have they moved to Biddeford yet?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Are they in Biddeford?
Unbelievable.
Are they really? Where is it, downtown?
No. So it's sort of on Route 1.
So then, on to Article 32.
Hang on one second before you go there.
Go ahead.
Okay, 29 we want. What size containers? And including pads, ETC.
Okay.
Okay. We don't care about the next one, 30?
What is it?
Just a
Forester.
Oh, yeah, that's,
3,000 for the cemetery committee.
yeah.
Okay, 10,000 to be placed in the cemetery reserve account.
Yeah, we've already kind of,
We kind of talked about that.
Yeah,
but do we
already.
really want it in a reserve account?
How do we know that they are going to be doing what is required? You had said 45 years without any...
This is just a reserve account.
This is just a reserve account.
Right, but they came in and told us what they wanted to do with it.
Yeah, we got it.
They did.
Yeah.
And they want to actually spend the money to do tree removal,
Yeah,
which I have major reservations for the use of municipal funds, public monies for private property, unless, of course, we meet statute. You know, if it's a,
so what you're saying, Charlie, if it's in a reserve account, it can't be spent until the people vote to spend it?
well, yeah, because you have to take it out of reserve.
you have to take it out of reserve.
So the people have to do that.
Correct. That
Right.
would be a special town
That's
meeting.
another
or-
special
okay.
town meeting.
Yeah,
The only thing you're doing is you're putting it to reserve, but my question is why?
Article 32, why?
Danny, why are we putting this money in there?
Yeah.
you're right.
Nothing's been identified. I mean, there was a list of cemeteries that there were trees that they wanted to make removal on.
Yeah,
But there
I've
was
got it in
nothing in
here.
that list that identified which ones the town can actually do.
Meet the
any work in.
criteria we
Meets the
talked about earlier,
criteria.
which
Yeah.
would
With the
take quite a
veterans.
while to determine, I would think.
Yeah,
Okay, I would like whoever has that criteria to send it to me, please.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
okay. This other one, next 33 is the,
I just want to say one thing about 33. I wasn't here when John Baniloff from Acton Wakefield Watershed was here, and so I have some personal experience with this organization, and I wanted to just share a little bit about that.
Which one was this again? I'm
Yes.
sorry?
Acton Wakefield Watershed Alliance.
Okay, please.
They, yeah, they come in and they do, they're very similar to the Acton Shapley Youth Conservation Corps. And they have these, you know, they hire kids that come in and under the direction of a project manager, help with erosion projects along the lake. AWA also does grants for septic systems. AWA actually wrote a grant for my particular road, because I live on a private road, that helped get funding from the federal government through the Clean Water Act to do a lot of erosion control. And I think we got like $30,000 that they wrote a grant for. And just this past week, we had a catastrophic erosion event on my road. I called them, and the next day, they were down there to evaluate it. So they're doing some, and this is just on my road, and they're all around Great East. They do work on Horn Pond. They did a project on Loop Road. They're doing some great things.
Is there federal money? Is there federal money for all that?
The 319 grants is federal money.
Is that just a little bit, or is there a continuing project? I mean,
No, that was a one-time deal that they, AWA gave us some money also, Julia gave us some money for this project, and then we had to
But
cover the
that's
rest.
unfortunate because they, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Yeah, so, anyway, so I just wanted to share that because Dennis was the only one who was really familiar with them. And I've worked extensively with them, and it's a fabulous organization, and they certainly deserve our money because our private roads get very, very little from the town, you know, and supporting it, the roads.
So Article 34, I'm very pleased to see that the annual maintenance cost went down
Yeah,
from last year. That's a good thing. TV thing, pretty cut and dry. These next two articles, we asked questions from the recreation director back when she met with us, and we never got any answers. So that's part of Article 36. The other real question, the big ticket item, is Article 37, where they want 40,000 to add to their parking lot account, to design a playground and,
It's a purchase of shed and playground equipment.
no,
That's what the article says.
Yeah, I
Purchase
know.
shed and playground.
yeah.
But they haven't decided where they're gonna put the playground.
no, the problem is,
They
Joe,
don't know where they're gonna put the parking lot.
they don't know where, they don't even know what they want in the playground. So you can't decide where you're gonna put the playground to decide what you want in it. You can't decide where you're gonna put the shed and to decide how big the shed's gonna be.
Wasn't there an issue with the survey or lack of a good plat map?
Well, I thought they were supposed to get an engineer to go in there and see
See what,
where
right?
they could put the playground and the shed.
It's fairly wet in there,
No, but,
all around, so it's,
yeah, but Joe, you can cross that.
yeah,
You can cross that. That land goes out to Garvin Road. That isn't wet all the way through there.
no.
DEP will let you, give you by a permit, by a rule to cross that
But
and get
in
you some dry
immediate
ground.
areas where they concentrate on,
Why?
because, I don't know why.
Why would you use half a parking lot for a playground and a shed if the reason why you needed a new parking lot because there wasn't enough parking? It doesn't make any sense.
I realize that, too.
And I don't want to give them another $40,000 for anything until they finish what we already gave them $40,000 for.
Yeah.
This is like, what, 2 years?
Yep.
Year, 2 years, something like that?
Well, certain people get involved with it. and
Well, that's fine,
it's
but
slowed down, okay.
I don't want to throw money at something just because people feel we have the money. Come back with a plan on what they want, and if they need the money to do it, have a special town meeting and do it, if that's what they want to do.
I mean, even the playground has to be ADA compliant. You just can't go and say, I want a swing set over here, I want a merry-go-round over here, and a sled over, a slide over here.
All the rules changed in 2015
Yeah,
for playground, public
playgrounds.
playgrounds.
Really?
yeah. Even the ground under them.
Yeah, the whole thing's changed.
Please refresh my memory. The size of the shed that they currently have is,
Yeah, it's 8 by 12 or something.
It's a luncheon place where they make sandwiches.
No, no,
No, they have a shed out back.
Oh, they do have a
Yeah.
storage shed?
Yeah.
and is it or is it not adequate to store all their uniforms, et cetera? in
It's
there?
not, you'd lose them. It's
The
not-
moisture.
It's not made for that.
Oh, okay,
It's not a-
so there's no vapor barrier underneath?
Oh,
it?
no,
It's-
no.
Oh, God, no.
No.
It's just
We
sitting in
talked
Just a
about
wooden
the
shed.
size of the mats, you were talking about.
Well, yeah, we're not even getting to that.
They used to store stuff in there, Charlie, and the mice, and
Crazy.
the mice ate about everything and destroyed a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really can't be used for storage then?
And then now they were using the old fire station.
There's
And,
mold in there.
Well, they
I mean,
lost
I saw
all
no, I
photographs.
appreciate that. And I'm not saying they don't need a place. All I'm saying is, we just keep giving money to these things, and what are we buying? We don't know.
Well, no, I agree with you there. There needs to be some sort of plan, needs to be some concrete figures, and it was a little bit unsure at the time that they came. I can't remember the young lady's name who presented.
Samantha.
Samantha. She did a nice job, but she didn't have all the information. I know Marguerite was gonna give her some information.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were gonna work together on a, whatever, for a price for a building, but they never got back to us, Charlie. We asked.
But there- and
There
so-
seems to be a lot of carts waiting for horses to come along, I don't.
You know what I mean? You never emailed, never
I've seen more
called,
than one so
never-
far, there's,
never nothing. I mean,
they're just gonna sit there, you know, there's a lot of that going on.
we asked for this information, and 2 months later, you still don't have it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Not
issuing
not as
money
a
for-
finance person.
Issue money for something that doesn't even have an estimate of the cost or a plan on what it's gonna be
That's it.
is.
What do they have for land up there?
Is a cart.
What's usable?
No, I agree with you.
Does anybody know?
I see that a lot here on what we've been reading tonight.
How much land is at the transfer station? Does anybody know?
25 or 23 acres?
There's enough to
I
do
did-
what
I
they
do
need
know
to do,
that.
if they
I do
use
know
their
that.
head, okay?
And I
What's
believe-
that?
I believe it's.
There's enough to do what
23
they need to
acres.
do if they use their head. It's not a
Yeah.
matter of just going in and out of there, it's a storage.
Town says 16 acres, Charlie.
So we're not even going to Article 39?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ray.
No, I'm just asking a question.
I started folding up all my thing. What was
I know.
Article
Did you say-
39?
It was,
Give the town a vote to appropriate $10,000 from the underlying fund balance to do a road assessment.
Okay.
Oh, I thought we talked about that.
we discussed that when Tom was
You've
here.
already done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Tom was
You
here.
didn't give your opinion, Ray?
I didn't.
Would
Yeah,
you?
Ray, you haven't spoken tonight.
Would you?
What did you
Leslie
think?
was saying it was
Would I give
basically
my
already
opinion?
done.
Yeah.
That we have the information that we have put together, and I bring that almost every time that RMS is brought up at the selectmen's meeting, is that information being inputted. And every time that I've asked that question, the answer has always been no.
Right.
It is not. So they're not utilizing what we have,
I wonder why.
and at the same time, it was, when the information was put in there and what they have already done, it pretty much matched, right? So, from that whole discussion, all the problems from the roads are gonna continue because of the foundation or the base, okay? And that's taken care of. You're gonna have the same issues going on year after year.
Yeah.
Okay, so, do we spend another 10 grand? Personally, I would say no. We use what we got. I mean, you know, it's, like everybody's noticing here, you're just throwing money out there, throwing money out there. This is people's money, you know? Y'all heard my take when special town meeting of what I thought should have been done. But, you know, so I
It
don't.
still might
think
be,
it-
Ray.
Huh?
It still might be.
It is still my opinion.
No, I said it still might happen.
What?
What you said at town meeting about returning some of the money back to the people.
No,
Well,
because
that's something the selectmen can do.
They can, but.
they can, but I seriously doubt it. Because they were so, in tune with, you know, investing this money. And that's what the article read, so.
Can I ask you a question, Dennis? Could they take the $800,000 and put it toward this budget?
Yeah.
Sure they could.
They say here, okay, now we got all this,
Yeah.
$10,000, but it's $800,000, we got $800,000 right now.
So in other words,
They-
you
they
don't
can-
need
they
to
can
raise
do
any
it.
revenue.
Right.
Well, I don't know, you reassess your,
Right, but in
Your,
effect,
tax
you'd be
rate,
paying
because you've got the
paying
money.
for this year's budget with money we already have.
yeah, you need
Right.
$6,000, all of a sudden now you need $5. So you
It's kind of like the school's doing.
Kind of a rebate to the taxpayer.
The rebate to the town, yeah, instead of saying,
An
okay.
immediate one, really.
We'll send you a check and him a check, everybody gets a check, it's the same thing.
Well, Joe, that
other words,
does
this whole
happen
warrant
in
is
other
useless.
states. In Massachusetts, they have a state law where if they if they collect a certain amount extra of state income tax, they have to refund it. Massachusetts last year, and I know this because I still work in Massachusetts on occasion, they had to return $3 billion to the people who paid income tax. And I know because I got a check from them. I wondered why I got a check from the Massachusetts Department of Revenue. And it was because they overtaxed on income tax. So they they can return that money.
The state of Maine did it this last year.
So I mean, what avenue do we take in the sense that we might get a rebate
Well, that's
in the town?
not.
That's what the selectmen make that
That's not-
decision.
I know, but
Let's vote in some good
Right.
selectmen.
yeah.
Okay, one of the things on the road thing, when you read Sebago's thing, it jumped out at me. They have selected roads to be assessed, including the following: Acton Ridge, Buzzell, Canal, County, Covewood Drive, East Shore Drive, French Street, Gavin Road, Garden Road, Goose Pond Road, Hawk Road, Hopper, Langley Shore, Lebanon Road, Man Road, Nason, Newbridge, Orchard, Peacock, Peck, Point, Riverview, Sandpage, Sanborn, West Shore Drive, Willow, and Youngs Ridge. West Shore Drive was the first 1.5 miles was paved last year. I mean, in this budget period, okay? It's last summer. The second half is scheduled to be done, 1.5 miles is scheduled to be done now this summer. Why are they assessing that road? That's 3 miles of town road
Because they don't know.
that they are gonna waste time and money on assessing, when it was just done.
Well, Joyce, if I was doing the road assessments, I would be doing all the town roads too, just to have that
Well,
baseline
why don't you
at
do
that
them all then? They aren't
specific.
all listed.
I'm sorry?
They aren't all listed.
Yeah, I haven't looked to see
I
if,
have.
yeah.
There's 3 or 4 that's not even listed on
What's missing?
their town
Well, that
road.
comes down to something else that's been brought up when we had the road commissioners here about why when we start a road, let's say, are we only doing half of it? You know, that goes back to the same, because now you're already there paying the cost to be there. You come back 2 years later, what you did is already breaking down. You're paying more, and now you gotta reassess a road you could have finished all at once.
Right.
Because they never finished it to begin with.
Yeah,
Even
it's
what they did do. they
Like
didn't
Young's
finish.
Ridge just got done, even though there was really nothing wrong with it. They could have went down Buzzell instead, but they just went to the top of the hill and stopped.
And stop.
And, you know, when the other side is the steep hill, people have to try to get up in the winter. And it's just like 3/4 of a mile of it was done.
So then you go down Newbridge and around.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I don't go up that hill
I
in the
mean,
winter.
there's another example of doing a little piece of a road.
When you,
It looks nice, I gotta
Doesn't
say.
make sense, does it?
when you do a
Beautiful. There's
road,
only 2 houses on it.
when you do a road, and say if you grind it or whatever it is they do, and they put 2 inches of pavement over it, and then you let it sit for a year, and I think Adam's definition was so it could settle.
That's a crock of shit.
Russell has
Mike's
settled
picked
it,
that
I'll
up.
tell you.
If you put
F you.
4 inches of pavement, you put your base coat, so you can level everything out, then put 2 more inches of pavement on it. I would think that 4 inches of pavement would hold up better, especially if you did the shoulders afterwards, would hold up better than the 2 inches of pavement with the traffic.
You mean kind of like putting 7 or 8 inches of asphalt on Langley Shores and not taking care of all of the, it was pretty broken up.
Is it really?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was, yeah. And
I'm just saying,
Didn't we lose that road in 2009?
yeah, we've lost
Yeah.
it twice, Joe.
we've lost it at least twice.
Really?
And there's been other washouts down there.
Is that
Might
water
have been the
coming off
Carter Road
the-
thing all over.
But they put a culvert from one side of the road over to divert the water over into the stream. And the culvert at the bottom of the hill
Couldn't
is sitting on top of ledge, so it's not deep enough and it's not big enough. It's a nightmare
I haven't been down
area.
there in years, you know, just. I'd like to go up to Peck Road and see what's going
Yeah,
on.
we'll see what's going on up there. Anything else, Ray?
So did we decide anything on 40?
What was 40?
No, 40 is the school.
Yeah, I thought that the school had asked for
They
100,000.
did.
Well, what they wanted to do, I'm probably talking out of line here, but what they ended up, originally, Ray, when we talked to them, they was going to do the roof and buy the freezer unit, the refrigeration stuff.
Joe, you okay? We got just a little ways to go.
I just
And it ended up,
in a cramp.
and maybe they found money someplace else to be able to do the stuff for the kitchen.
Oh,
And the roof is 75,
right, but I thought that they had,
and they want the 75 back in to bring it back up to 100.
okay,
Because they'll have 25 left over in that account.
all right,
Anticipation
explains
that
that.
the leach field's gonna blow up or something, and who knows what that'll cost.
Now, we've never received a revenue report or anything like that, and possibly this might have, no, this is last year's audit.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the 45K approximate rebate on the LED upgrade? Did that actually materialize, or did,
They haven't gotten it yet.
Yeah, they were waiting for, they had a time period that they had to wait for before they reapplied for it.
okay,
So, and I don't think that
I don't
time
think it's
period had
there
yet
yet.
gotten here.
okay.
Something like that, they might not even get till next year, who knows? Anything
No,
the
I was
state's
just
involved
coming
in.
here. That's a question I'll ask at the next school meeting.
All right. People,
So, Article 41, anything major there on West Shore Drive?
no, that's just taking, COVID money that they got left over from the water and applying it.
I'm talking about COVID money. Whatever happened with the 30K that we had voted on for the water supply for the town?
That's where they're coming up with that money
That's-
left over for,
That's where that's from.
they're reappropriating it.
Right, okay, but did we actually get anything here in the town?
Yeah, it's working better, but it's all, whatever isn't out of the system yet.
The chlorine, okay.
When the town negotiated using the abutters land during that construction period, was it ever brought up that they were gonna have to pay a fee to use that land?
Oh, yes,
Was that, from the get-go?
that's from what, Joe?
Did they, from the get-go, the guy says, I'll let you use my land, buddy, I'm gonna charge you a fee, or is this something that just happened afterwards?
Something that Winchell negotiated with the landowner,
When did it
and it's
get negotiated?
$3,000 a week.
Yeah, but
for
when did it
something.
get negotiated?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought the guy was being a nice guy, we'll let you use our land, and all of a sudden now, well, do you know what I'm saying?
No, it
That doesn't sound,
I-
was just something Winchell negotiated,
Make a motion, we go have supper.
Article 42, this is back to my question that I started with. You don't think I'm gonna give up that easily, do you, Ray? Regarding the select persons.
Yep.
Well, there's no line on in here about what our recommendations are for 42 or 43.
It's a secret ballot.
yeah, we don't make.
Oh, that's right, it's the
Yeah,
secret
we don't
ballot.
make,
Again,
ballot, yeah.
my opinion is we should have had both select person positions.
Both new ones.
and usually, Charlie, that's beginning of the warrant.
Pardon?
Usually those last two articles at the beginning, but they did it backwards this year, so.
They're a little bit backwards this year.
Oh, that means they got a smaller count.
So anyway.
I'm hoping for
so there's
150
There's the
people
warrant, the
down there.
article, and we still
I'll make
have
a
an
motion to
opportunity
adjourn.
I
vote in
second.
2 people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everybody in favor? Virginia's saying, come on, guys. Thank you very much,
Thank you, Virginia.
Charlie, you realize you're getting a lot of hate mail now.
Oh, I know I will. That's
Oh, jeez.
I'm used to it.
You need to come to the